Chapter 280. Hurry up and give me a hand. This tree's roots are too deep. Lin had already used all of his strength, but he was still unable to pull it out. He immediately called for help. Xiao Chou and Dabai also ran over and grabbed onto the Fireblood Divine tree. 1, 2, 3, rise! Lin roared, and the dog and monkey both exerted their strength at the same time. Rumble! The ground began to tremor, and a series of lines began to appear on the crimson ground. Then, soil flew into the air as crimson roots began to rise from the ground. Lin and the others were astonished. This tree's roots covered an area of over 1,000 feet in radius. No wonder it was so difficult to pull out. Time was of the essence, and Lin didn't have time to inspect the Fireblood Divine tree. He hurriedly put the tree into his storage ring and began to retreat. At this moment, a female's voice sounded from the blue halo again. Please save us. There's a treasure distribution map of this ancient battlefield here. If you save us, all the treasures will belong to you. Lin's footsteps faltered as he looked toward the blue halo. He was greeted by the sight of the young girl's pitiful expression. There were still traces of tears on her fair and delicate face, and there was an ancient sheepskin scroll in her hand. For some reason, his heart softened. All right, I'll take the risk to save you. Gundam 1, Gundam 2, unleash a gravitational field. Mark the 3 girls as allies. Boom! The purple halo began to expand, unleashing a terrifying pressure that forced all the surrounding evil spirits to the ground. Run! Lin roared at the 3 girls within the halo. Inu reacted extremely quickly, and she immediately withdrew the halo before rushing toward Lin with her 2 maids. The powerful gravitational field only lasted for a short period of time, and it began to disappear by the time Inu arrived in front of Lin. All of the evil spirits in the sky now had a single target, and the pressure on Lin and the others instantly doubled. Countless evil spirits surged toward Lin like a tidal wave. They brandished their sharp black claws, bared their sharp fangs, and let out shrill ghost cries. They were aggressive and unstoppable, and their speed was even faster than the 3 girls. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 stood at the back and continuously fired cannons to fend off the waves of evil spirits. Lin, Xiao Chou, and Dabai led the way, and the 3 spirit-nurturing stage flower vases ran with all their might in the middle. Inu is a spirit-nurturing final stage cultivator, so she was quite strong. However, maintaining the extreme lightning spell formation expended a large amount of vital energy from her. Thus, she was the slowest person in the group. The group of evil spirits wandered on the edge of the red earth and did not continue to chase them. It was as if the different colors of the land on both sides were the dividing line between the 2 territories. Huff, huff, huff. It's really scary. My hands are sore from swinging the sword nonstop. Lin twisted his arms and was drenched in sweat. The 2 Gundams had almost run out of energy due to the continuous high-intensity battle, so they returned to their storage rings to recharge. Thank you for saving us. Inu led the 2 maids to Lin and bowed in gratitude. Due to her intense exercise, a few strands of her jet black hair were stuck to her rosy cheeks due to sweat, giving her a unique charm. No need to thank me. It's what I should do. Lin waved his hand, his expression natural and heroic. Then he extended his hand. Looking at Lin's slightly open palm, Inu grimaced. She finally erased the last bit of goodwill she had for this male. She humphed coldly and handed the treasure map to Lin. Lin didn't hesitate and immediately began to look through it. Oh, there are 12 places with treasures? Is it accurate? Inu rolled her eyes and humphed lightly. This is a map that the high priest of my tribe deduced from the topography of the ancient battlefield, the flow and distribution of energy, as well as the distribution of living beings. Of course, it's very accurate. She seemed to have thought of something, and her face flushed red. It's just that sometimes the estimation of danger may not be enough. For example, we accidentally triggered the spell formation of the myriad ghost realm this time. And Lin nodded. Then how many treasures have you taken from a map? Hearing this, Inu felt as if her heart had been stabbed by a sword. Tears welled up her eyes. One of the beads was taken by Big Brother Chi Wu. This tree was originally mine, but it was taken by you, and Lin was extremely happy to hear this. His heart was filled with relief as he smiled. Then there are still 10 left. Not bad. Enyu's chest tightened. She cursed in her heart. F***CK? I'm already in such a miserable state. Yet this man doesn't know how to take care of women? Humph. If it wasn't for the fact that Big Brother Chi Wu couldn't save me in time, he wouldn't have been bullied by you. Enyu muttered softly, even though her voice was very soft, and Lin still heard her. He smiled. Big Brother Chi Wu, that crimson-haired man, right? Enyu faltered slightly upon hearing this, but she still nodded. I saw him at the exit of the enchantment barrier. It looked like he wasn't planning to save you. Instead, he was planning to leave the enchantment barrier. And Lin said, the white-clothed girl's body swayed again. It was as if a certain speculation in her heart had just been confirmed. However, she still stubbornly insisted, I don't believe you. You're lying. How come my big brother abandoned me? And Lin shrugged. Do you think I'll be able to eat if I lie to you? Besides, if I hadn't encountered your big brother at the entrance of the enchantment barrier, how would I know that he has crimson-haired hair? Young lady, are you an idiot? She had been dealt a blow by losing the treasures, being abandoned, and now her intelligence. Tears finally flowed from Princess Enyu's eyes after these 3 heavy blows. Wah, you're all bad people. You're all bullying me. Wah. The rims of her eyes were red, and she wept like a pear blossom in the rain. The 2 maids hurriedly tried to console her, but it was useless. She only cried even harder. She had never experienced such indifference before. She had been abandoned by her family, almost died, and she had lost all her treasures. Perhaps there was something wrong with her intelligence. The more she thought about it, the more she wanted to cry. And Lin didn't have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. She could cry all she wanted, and he would continue reading his book. He held the sheepskin scroll in his hand and looked at the locations where the treasures had appeared. The high priest of the dragon tribe had predicted that there was a high chance that the treasures would appear. In fact, the danger level was even marked out. The serene, understanding grass that he had obtained previously was of exceptional quality, but it didn't appear on the scroll. It was clear that the high priest wasn't completely foolproof. Every 1,000 years, the dragon tribe would send people here to search for the treasures that naturally formed in this place. This was both a type of training and a type of opportunity. And Lin didn't think that he would be the one to pick up this once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity. Just thinking about it made him feel a little happy. As for Prince Chi Wu, there was only 1 copy of the sheepskin scroll. Even if he knew the locations of the treasures, with his cowardly personality, he wouldn't dare to take the risk without a few cannon fodder accompanying him. Thus, Lin wasn't afraid that he would beat them to it. Instead, he planned to obtain the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon, first before searching for the other treasures. Let's go. And Lin stood up. After resting for a while, everyone had already recovered their blood essence. Which treasure are we going to find first? Enyu asked curiously, and Lin glanced at her. This little princess who had just cried decided to stay by his side after hearing that the exit of the barrier was temporarily closed. Although Lin knew that he was very safe, it wasn't a good idea to bring along a burden. If you unleash your full strength, do you have the strength of a soul formation stage cultivator? And Lin suddenly asked. Enyu faltered slightly before replying seriously, about only half-step soul formation stage. Then, she saw the disdainful expression on Lin's face. She was momentarily at a loss for words. You, spirit-nurturing final stage, being able to unleash the strength of a half-step soul formation stage cultivator is already very impressive. Okay. That's right. And Lin nodded. I've slain quite a few soul formation stage cultivators when I was only of spirit-nurturing initial stage. Now that I'm a spirit-nurturing final stage, soul formation intermediate stage, cultivators probably won't even be able to withstand 1 strike from my sword. Enyu was dumbfounded. She stared blankly at Lin. Looking at Lin's disdainful expression, as well as the fact that he didn't seem to be lying, she finally realized that not only was there a problem with her intelligence, but she was also a weakling. The two maids realized the reason behind Lin's question and immediately replied, "We're willing to sacrifice our lives for Master at critical moments." And Lin nodded. These two maids of spirit-nurturing intermediate stage were quite intelligent. Inu was of half-step soul formation stage, so she wasn't a burden anymore. Just like that, he agreed to let Inu tag along. "Let's go find the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon first." Chapter 281. Everyone set off once again, flying toward the northwest. Evil spirits still appeared from time to time, and they were becoming more and more powerful. Previously, evil spirits were usually of the Tao body stage, but now they could occasionally see evil spirits of the spirit-nurturing stage. Swoosh! A pitch-black and profound sword light that was as fast as lightning instantly tore an 8-armed evil spirit into 2 halves. And Lin was already very powerful now. Even evil spirits of the spirit-nurturing stage couldn't withstand a single strike from him. Inu truly believed in Lin now. However, she didn't understand. They were both of the spirit-nurturing final stage, so why was there such a huge disparity between them? Moreover, she was a prodigy who possessed the direct bloodline of the dragon tribe. Oh, wait, prodigy couldn't be used to describe herself now. Inu pinched her small, delicate face, a look of dejection on her face. "Big brother, and look, that giant skull in front of us should be it." Xiao Chao's eyes burned like torches as he pointed ahead. There was a black skull of 50 to 60 feet in size there. This skull was similar to a human skull. From a memory, it seemed to be the skull of a general of the Purple Star Ghost Army. And Lin's eyes lit up slightly. He landed beside the skull and walked 49 steps to the west before stomping forcefully on the ground. Boom! The ground trembled, and a white spatial gate appeared before everyone. Inu looked at Lin in disbelief. "You've been here before?" And Lin didn't reply and walked through the gate first. Inu's voice faltered, and she followed behind him angrily. The space around them warped, and a space rich in vital energy appeared before them. A giant skeleton of several thousand feet in length lay silently on the ground. Grass and flowers grew all around it. The combination of overflowing vitality and desolation gave off a unique sense of tranquility and beauty. "This is the skeleton of a winged dragon." Inu's beautiful eyes widened, and her voice trembled slightly. She could no longer maintain her composure. Every winged dragon had an extremely high status in the dragon tribe, and this winged dragon was clearly a top-tier powerful being that had fallen in the ancient battlefield. And Lin walked to the side of the skeleton's head and squatted down. After taking a glance at it, a look of joy appeared on his face. There were ancient vines that glowed with purple light at the bottom of the dragon's head. This was the ancient purple vine he was looking for. The ancient purple vine absorbed Ing Dragon's Ing Shi and usually grew at the bottom of Ing Dragon's head. He didn't expect that after 10,000 years, the number of ancient purple vines would increase by several times. And Lin skillfully removed all of the ancient vines and placed them into his storage ring. After that, he went to the winged dragon's spine and used his chi to open a small hole. He extracted half a kilogram of blood with a hint of gold in it. This winged dragon true blood only existed within the spine, and because of its unfortunate nature, it could still exist even after tens of thousands of years. You are tarnishing the ancestors." When Inu saw that Lin didn't even spare the true blood in Ing Long's body, she was so angry that she stomped her feet. And Lin rolled his eyes at the silver fish. "Don't worry, I've used my vital energy to check. There's still 1.5 kilograms of true blood in there." As the most valuable part of the dragon race, true blood of winged dragons was extremely precious. As the heavenly dragon maiden of the dragon tribe at the time, Shunin had only taken half a kilogram of true blood out of respect for her ancestors. After hearing Inu's words, Lin thought about it for a moment and felt that this was indeed not the right thing to do. He walked over to the spine and extracted half a kilogram of true blood. Shunin was a member of the dragon tribe, so she was naturally respectful. But I'm a human, so why should I be so respectful to a dragon? 1 kilogram of true blood 1 kilogram as backup. Enyu's vision darkened as she watched Lin extract another kilogram of true blood. Her chest rose and fell violently, clearly having been provoked again. If these bones were to fall into the hands of other tribes, I guarantee that not a single bone would be left. I'm already very respectful to your ancestors. Do you understand? And Lin lectured Enyu with a serious expression. Enyu's face flushed red, and she was so angry that she couldn't utter a single word. Everyone walked around the space and collected a few spirit rank herbs. There was nothing else of value, so they left the space. We've collected the ancient purple vine and true blood of winged dragons. It's time to look for the treasures in the sheepskin scroll. And Lin was completely relaxed as he spread open the sheepskin scroll. Thus, everyone began to plunder from the nearest location. They entered the blood pool and found the third-rank immortal fruit, dark blood fruit. They trampled over the dead demon realm and found the dead realm flower. They went to the black stone forest and found the Vajra soul. After that, they obtained the ethereal spirit bone, demon blood ball, ice holy lotus, and ghost crystal armor. Out of the 9 locations where treasures were predicted to appear, 7 of them had appeared, while 2 of them had nothing. And Lin cursed the so-called high priest many times over. Seeing in Lin's dissatisfied expression as he collected the treasures, Enyu felt a little short of breath again. Next up was the last treasure marked on the sheepskin scroll. First rank, immortal material, reincarnation ginseng. This thing was marked as the most dangerous treasure, so Lin purposely left it for last. The reincarnation ginseng was located in a relatively central area of the ancient battlefield. The space there was extremely unstable, and the ground was also severely cracked. Countless bottomless ravines covered the ground, as if they were giant abyssal mouths that could swallow all living beings. Reincarnation ginseng can only grow this first-rank immortal material through the cycle of life and death. In that war, 10,000 years ago, heaven and earth collapsed, and the Dragon Court was almost overturned. The number of powerful beings that died here exceeded millions. This is one of the conditions for the reincarnation ginseng to grow death. Then where does the other condition for the reincarnation ginseng to grow life manifest itself? And Lin sat on Debai's back and held the sheepskin scroll as he asked curiously. Seeing that even Lin didn't understand, Enyu immediately interjected, "You don't understand this, do you?" Seeing that Lin was looking at her with an inquisitive gaze, she instantly felt like she wasn't that stupid after all. She felt a little smug in her heart as she slowly said, "Life comes from the extremity of death, but what is born is resentment, hatred, and despair from not being able to enter the cycle of reincarnation. These negative emotions can also give birth to a type of life." And Lin blinked. "You're saying those evil ghosts and bone ghosts are a manifestation of life?" Enyu nodded. "They can actually be considered living beings, but they're not recognized as living beings. They were abandoned by the heavenly Tao when they were alive, so they can't enter the cycle of reincarnation after death. Hence, their resentment is boundless, and they exist in this world in another quantum form." Quantum form? And Lin's lips twitched. He seemed to have heard a strange term. You don't understand the concept of quantum form?" The white-clothed young woman's eyes lit up, and she seemed to have a certain sense of superiority. "Let me tell you, this involves the development of microscopic particles, space-time, and the theory of cause and effect. If you don't understand, I can give you a book on quantum theory when I return to the Dragon Palace. I'll be the teacher, and you'll be my student." Enyu was in high spirits, as if she had been injected with a stimulant. She talked incessantly to Lin, as if she had successfully made a comeback from a completely useless situation. She was overjoyed, and Lin was also astonished. The Dragon Palace has started researching this kind of thing. There are even books. He had to admit, he really wanted to go to the Dragon Palace to see what those books were about. The group flew for a while longer, and they arrived at a place where black mist lingered. "We're here. It's nearby," and Lin said as he gazed at the sheepskin scroll. At this moment, another evil ghost pounced over. Then, It was smashed into pieces by Xiao Chao's staff. Here, evil ghosts and bone ghosts that were pure resentment roamed the surroundings. Their auras were all extremely powerful, and there were even quite a few whose strength rivaled that of spirit-nurturing stage cultivators. Wisps of black mist floated up from the deep ravines on the ground. "Big brother, and look over there, there's a black ball." Xiao Chou spoke again. Sure enough, there was a black ball standing silently 1,000 meters away. "Let's go and have a look." And Lin flew toward the black ball, his evil-slaying sword tightly in his hand. The group arrived in front of the black ball and discovered that it was perfectly round. Its surface was as smooth as a mirror. It was about 30 feet in diameter. Aside from this, there were no other special characteristics. Could the reincarnation ginseng be inside this ball? And Lin asked. Inyu also didn't know. She had never seen the reincarnation ginseng before. "How about we smash it open and see?" This was a good suggestion, and Lin immediately got to work. He sent out Gundam 1 and Gundam 2, and they prepared to cut it open with precision. Right at this moment, the ball seemed to have been stimulated, and it cracked open on its own. Chapter 282. Kacha. The black ball cracked very evenly, and its smooth surface was instantly filled with cracks. The outer shell of the ball completely shattered, and everyone was dumbstruck by what they saw inside. A golden ginseng that was about half the size of a grown man with a flower on its head fell to the ground with a plop, and it opened its eyes in a daze. "This is..." And Lin took a deep breath. Reincarnation ginseng? Everyone else was also in disbelief. Wasn't this a first-grade immortal ingredient? Could it be that this thing could become a spirit? The golden ginseng stood up and looked ahead with its round eyes. "Papa," it clattered as it hugged the leg of a Gundam. A certain Gundam, "Mama." It ran over and hugged onto the leg of another Gundam. A certain Gundam, and Lin drew a sharp intake of breath upon seeing this. "It can talk." Inyu's lips twitched. Is that the point? The point should be why it can run as soon as it's born. Doesn't that save on a crib? Dabai's face convulsed, and he yelled, "All of you are focusing on toxic things. Speaking of which, shouldn't the point be why this ginseng can distinguish between Gundam 1 and Gundam 2, and which is the male and which is the female?" Woof. Xiao Chou looked up at the sky. "You guys take your time." Right at this moment, the earth suddenly began to tremor. Immediately afterward, tens of thousands of ghosts began to wail. Countless sinister ghosts wandering around the area all turned their eyes upon Enlin and the others. Hordes of bone ghosts crawled up or flew out of the cracks like a swarm of locusts, and their pitch-black eyes stared coldly at everyone. "I have a bad feeling." Enlin's heart sank as he looked around. "Wah." The golden ginseng began to cry. "Nai Nai. I want to eat Nai Nai." It hugged onto the leg of a Gundam as it spoke. "Mama, I want to eat Nai Nai." Gundam. Everyone, right at this moment, the evil ghosts and bone ghosts in the surroundings seemed to have received some kind of stimulation. With a monstrous aura, they charged toward Enlin and the others. There were even 3 soul formation stage bone mist dragons among them. "Run!" Enlin roared as he grabbed the ginseng and leaped onto his brick. Without hesitation, everyone began to flee. When the ghost saw Enlin and the others escaping, it chased after them in a frenzy. Enlin tried to put the golden ginseng into his storage ring, and to his surprise, he actually succeeded. Could it be that this ginseng had not become a spirit? Spatial rings were unable to contain intelligent life forms, but he didn't expect the golden ginseng to be able to be stored in a spatial ring. Didn't this mean that it wasn't an intelligent life form? Then how could it talk? Still thinking of eating Nanai. Hiss hiss, suddenly, a large group of wraiths came charging at him. And Lin didn't have time to think too much and entered battle mode. All of the ghosts and monsters around him seemed to have been provoked by something, and they all pounced toward Lin in a frenzy. They showed no signs of stopping as they converged from all directions, accumulating more and more. If this continued, who knew what kind of army of wraiths they would form in the future? "Where do we run to now?" Inyu yelled in a panicked voice. More and more wraiths appeared behind them, causing her hair to stand on end. If they were to slow down in their escape, they would be dead for sure if they caught up to them. "Run to the exit. Let's see if the spatial passageway has opened. Unlin had already collected most of the treasures, and the golden ginseng was most likely the reincarnation ginseng, so there was no point in staying here. Within the spatial passageway, the white crack had already returned to its original size. A man with long crimson hair looked at the passageway in the distance with a scorching light in his eyes. Now, it was time to escape from this godforsaken place. However, the group of bone ghosts at the outskirts of the spatial passageway was still very troublesome. With his power alone, without any cannon fodder to act as bait, there was a chance that his life would be in danger if he broke through the bone ghost's defensive line. Rumble? What's that sound? Chi-Wu looked behind him to find that the sky in the distance seemed to have darkened. He took a closer look. Holy sh**t. Chi-Wu pissed himself, and his legs began to tremble. These are all King wraiths and bone ghosts. How many were there? 30,000? 50,000? Or 100,000? Chi-Wu's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the approaching horde of wraiths. What were they doing here? They couldn't be here to kill him, right? He was clearly just a bystander. How much hatred did they have for so many wraiths to be mobilized? As something's not right. Prince Chi-Wu's eyes narrowed. There were people over there. Immediately afterward, he saw those familiar faces. The human, the dog, and the monkey. It's them. Prince Chi-Wu's expression turned cold. He still remembered that Enlin had sold him out. Although he had sold out his teammates, they were his guards. He could sell them out, but why would these people sell him out? He was very sad. Then, his heart skipped a beat because he saw 3 familiar figures. 13th sister. She's still alive? That's great. I was just fretting over how to explain this matter to Father. Now, I don't even have to think about it. Did those people save her? Prince Chi-Wu didn't think that the 13th princess could escape from the myriad ghost realm on her own. Someone must have helped her. However, in doing so, his attitude toward Enlin improved a little. He knew that this was their last chance to escape from this barrier. The horde of wraiths behind them was no laughing matter. Seeing that everyone was about to arrive, he immediately transformed into a streak of crimson light and rushed out. 13th sister, it's great that you're all right. Prince Chi-Wu's eyes were red as he flew toward Princess Inu. Inu was startled when she saw him. Then, she turned her face away and sneered. You still have the face to appear before me? Prince Chi-Wu's face was full of shame. His eyes were red, and tears were about to overflow. It's my fault. Big brother is useless. It's my fault for not being able to save you from the myriad ghost realm. But it's great that you're safe. Inu's expression remained cold, and she didn't say anything. Enlin was extremely shocked when he saw this. Prince Chi-Wu's expression was so sincere. If he went Earth, he would definitely be nominated for the Best Actor Oscar. He would definitely be much better than the Demon King of Wisdom. At this moment, Chi-Wu turned to look at Enlin and said excitedly, Fellow Cultivator, thank you very much for saving my sister. From now on, you will forever be my friend. You will forever be a friend of the Dragon Court. Seeing Chi-Wu's passionate expression, Enlin waved his hand and said honestly, no need to thank me. It's what I should do. I'm paid to do it. Pay to do it? Chi-Wu blinked. I've given the sheepskin treasure map to fellow Cultivator Enlin, Inu said coldly. Boom! This news was like a bolt from the blue, striking Scarlet Crow until it was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Enlin calmly handed the sheepskin scroll to Chi-Wu. This map isn't very accurate. Only 8 out of 10 places have treasures. Here, I'll return the map to you. Chi-Wu gripped the map, and his lips twitched. Return to me? You've already taken all the treasures. What's the use of giving me the map? Chi-Wu smiled. His smile was even uglier than crying. He had wanted to return to the Dragon Court to find some helpers and come to the ancient battleground again. Now there's nothing left, boom. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 used their photovoltaic cannons and blasted the 2 black mist bone dragons guarding the entrance of the enchantment barrier into the air. Facing the bone ghosts in front of them, everyone began to fight with all their might. They forcefully carved out a path and charged out. Chapter 283. Enlin and the others rushed out of the enchantment barrier and stared at the enchantment barrier passageway, behind them with lingering fear. Thankfully, evil spirits couldn't pass through this evil spirit passageway. They all breathed a sigh of relief. "Mr. Lin, would you be interested in coming to the Dragon Court for a chat?" Chi Wu calmed himself down and invited Lin with a sincere expression. "Thank you for your kind offer, Mr. Chi Wu. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll come visit another day." And Lin wasn't just being polite. He really did have to go to the Dragon Court soon. Seeing in Lin's expression, Inu wanted to say something but stopped herself. This man is a human cultivator, so he'll probably return to the Kingdom of the Nine States after finishing his business. There are so many people in the world, so they might never see each other again. Just as a melancholy welled up in her heart, she suddenly thought of a reason and her eyes lit up. "And Lin, didn't you say you wanted to read a book on quantum theory? Come to the Dragon Court. I'll teach you." And Lin was startled. He had almost forgotten about this. "All right, I'll come to the Dragon Court in half a month at most after I finish my business," he said with a smile. Inu breathed a sigh of relief in her heart and smiled brightly. "All right, I'll wait for you." Chi Wu looked at Lin, then at Inu, and furrowed his brows slightly. He was just being polite. Could it be that this brat was really going to come to the Dragon Court? In the end, the two of them bade farewell, and Lin continued on his journey to collect materials. They obtained the mystic ice crystal on the frozen sky island. They found the desolate flame bone on the soaring snake volcano in the land of the 100 tribes. Everything went very smoothly. These materials were usually grown in a special environment. As long as the environment didn't change much, they would be able to grow again after 10,000 years after being nourished by the energy of heaven and earth and the essence of the sun and moon. The last herb was called the divine white herb. It grew on a small island shrouded in white mist. That place feels quite dangerous. There's even a Saint Fiend there. That's a supreme expert that rules over a part of the Sea Fiend territory. Even Shun Yin, who was at the half-step return to Void Stage, almost died there. In the end, she had to use countless mystic techniques and formation discs to seal the holy demon on the island. And Lin's expression was grave as he looked at the last ingredient on the list. That place was actually in the 7 devil domains. It was a small island that emitted a purple light. "It's fine. The holy demon has been sealed, and there has been no movement for nearly 10,000 years. Even if that island is a bit special, even if the 7 devilish domains Emperor-level sea demons gather together, we can still escape even if we can't beat them." Woof. Dabai wasn't worried at all. Strictly speaking, with their current strength, they were no longer afraid of soul formation stage cultivators. Even if he couldn't defeat them, he could at least protect himself. "All right then, let's set off and go to the venerated Devil Island." And Lin raised his head and looked towards the distant sea, and he finally made a decision. The venerated Devil Island was located within the white mist of the 7 devil domains. It was extremely mysterious, and normal people didn't even know of its existence. They had only found out about the existence of this island from the images that Shun Yin had shown them. Even so, the coordinates that they knew were very vague, and they would have to slowly search for the exact location. And Lin and the others went to a coastal city in the Pearl Kingdom and bought a 3 divine compass. This compass was specially bought to prevent them from getting lost in the white mist. It could ignore the interference of magnetic fields and other types of energy, and it could accurately determine direction. Just as everyone was about to set off, a huge black shadow suddenly flew over from a distance. Why does this aura feel a little familiar? And Lin furrowed his brows. When we were in Bolan City, those demonic emperors also had this aura. Xiao Chou spoke slowly with a cold expression. Soon, everyone could clearly see the creature in the distance. It was a huge flaming dragon that was several hundred feet in length. This huge dragon had 3 pairs of wings on its back. It flew extremely quickly. It had only just flown over the city wall when a purple bead in front of it suddenly burst forth with a dazzling light. Boom! An extremely terrifying suction force was released from the bead. Be it the Pearl soldiers or the residents on the streets, they were all attracted by a powerful suction force and flew towards the purple bead. Instantly, The Pearl people in the city fell into a state of panic and panic. What's going on? No, I can't control my body. Save me. Let go of me. Don't grab me. Countless Pearl people flew into the sky and wailed for help in horror. Everything happened far too quickly. It was so fast that some of the Pearl people didn't even have a chance to react before they were sucked into the sky. After the flaming dragon tore through the city wall, it immediately used a spell technique to suck all the Pearl people into a storage bead. He, how weak. The other four brothers are also unlucky. Otherwise, they could easily take down 100 cities like this. The flaming dragon circled in the sky with a cold sneer on its face. In just a few short seconds, it had already collected over 1,000 Pearl people. Do you think you're that lucky? A male voice suddenly traveled over from the distance. The flaming dragon looked up to see a male flying toward it menacingly. Oh, a human cultivator of the spirit-nurturing stage dares to stand up for us? Isn't he afraid of death? The flaming demonic dragon opened its mouth, and majestic red flames gushed out from its mouth. The flames blotted out the sky and swept toward Enlin, leaving a red trail of destruction in the air. The crimson flames engulfed the male, but the demonic dragon didn't see them being reduced to ashes. A huge black brick smashed through the flames, and the sword-wielding male reappeared not far away. His speed didn't slow down at all. The demonic dragon's pupils contracted when it saw the sword-wielding male, the huge dog, and the monkey. It recalled the human cultivator that the demonic butterfly had mentioned. Didn't he have a king dog and a monkey with him? Run! The demonic dragon immediately withdrew the storage bead without hesitation. A flaming tornado erupted from its 3 pairs of wings, and it turned to flee. Whoosh! The demonic dragon tore through the air like a flaming meteor and fled toward the sea in the distance. Its cultivation base was only at the soul formation intermediate stage, so it wasn't confident enough to fight the freak that the demonic butterfly had described. However, it was very confident in its speed of escape. As long as I spread my wings, all opponents below the return to void stage can only look at my butt. The effects of the storage bead disappeared, and the thousands of pearl creatures in the air lost their suction force and began to plummet toward the ground. The pearls screamed again. If this went on, it would be a tragedy of all the pearls falling on a jade plate. Big brother, and we'll take care of these pearls. Dubai unleashed a gust of wind that enveloped the entire heaven and earth, giving the pearls a boost. Xiao Chou also unleashed his cloud riding technique to catch the pearls one by one. And Lin was momentarily dazed by the demonic dragon's decision to flee, but he didn't slow down. Instead, he increased his speed, and he summoned the 2 Gundams as well. Wings of Wind, 6 technique, Wind Sword, and Lin unleashed 2-fold acceleration, and his speed increased explosively. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 weren't as fast as the flaming demonic dragon in the distance, but they instantly opened all of their cannons and unleashed all of their attacks to impede the demonic dragon's escape. Spirit Snake homing missiles, photovoltaic cannons, particle chains, Gundam 1 and Gundam 2's attacks descended upon the demonic dragon. The flaming demonic dragon didn't dare to underestimate them, and it could only evade in the air. Boom, boom, boom. A series of dazzling fireworks exploded in the sky. The demonic dragon was a little disheveled as it charged out of the flames. Its speed had been delayed for a moment, but it still managed to put some distance between itself and the Gundams. Phew! Thank God I'm thick-skinned. F***CK. What I was afraid of really came true. The road to resurrecting the Holy One is truly a bumpy one. Just as the demonic dragon thought that it was going to escape, a cold sensation ran through its neck as a black sword projection pierced through its entire body. Pwah! The demonic dragon was severely wounded, and it turned to look at the man standing behind it in shock and horror. The man's eyes were snowy white, and he pulled out his black, evil-slaying sword before stabbing it a dozen or so times into its back. Each strike was aimed at preventing it from circulating its vital energy. The demonic dragon's vital energy instantly stopped circulating, and even its domain was shattered as its body plummeted toward the ground. It stared at the man with an expression of shock and horror. There was only one thought in its mind. I'm unrivaled in speed, but a spirit-nurturing stage, Cultivator, has caught up to me? Chapter 284. Boom! The flaming dragon's meridian was punctured, and it fell heavily to the ground, creating a huge crater. The Holy One you mentioned, are you referring to the Holy Demon? And Lin stood on the demonic dragon's neck and pointed his evil-slaying sword at the dragon's head. The demonic dragon humphed coldly. Don't try to get any information out of me. Is that so? Then die. And Lin's evil-slaying sword glowed with a black light. Don't kill me. I'll tell you. The Holy One is indeed the Holy Demon of Venerate Demon Island. The demonic dragon shrank back, clearly sensing the killing intent behind it. Why was it the fastest flying beast among all the beast emperors? That was because it could only survive by running away quickly. It was the fastest flying beast because it was the most afraid of death. So capturing the Pearl People is to revive the Holy Demon? Then you know where Venerate Demon Island is, right? Sign a slave contract with me and take me there. And Lin spoke again. The demonic dragon remained silent, and Lin's long sword glowed with a black light again. Is that your answer? Goodbye. Don't kill me. Fine. I agreed to sign a slave contract. The flaming dragon shrank back and gritted its teeth in humiliation. And Lin nodded and released a drop of blood essence from his finger. He made a series of hand seals and carved a spell formation. Finally, the blood essence dripped onto the demonic dragon's head. Don't refuse. A slave contract was different from a beast pet contract. Once a slave contract was signed, as the master, and Lin could force the slave to do anything, and the slave couldn't even think of disobeying the master. Otherwise, the master could use the power of the contract to kill the slave. This was a very unfair contract, but the flaming dragon had no choice but to agree to it in order to survive. And Lin finally jumped down with a satisfied expression and patted the demonic dragon's head. Follow me, and you'll have meat to eat. Demonic dragon. At this moment, Dabai and Xiao Chou had also arrived, and they were both extremely shocked to see that Big Brother and had already signed a slave contract with the demonic dragon. A soul formation intermediate stage slave was extremely eye-catching. Xiaolong, you must call me Brother Bai. Woof. Dabai replied calmly. The corners of the demonic dragon's mouth twitched. Damn it. A dragon who had fallen from grace was being bullied by a dog. And Lin didn't say too much nonsense. He let the demonic dragon release the Pearl People inside the containment pearl, and after confiscating the containment pearl, he immediately let the demonic dragon lead the way to Venerable Demon Island. In a misty sea region, the myriad wave demon emperor butterfly demon and the white-furred demon bear stood in the center of an island, waiting for the flaming demon dragon to return. Do you think the six-winged dragon emperor will succeed? The white demonic bear asked uneasily. You're an emperor-level sea monster, but you can't even capture 10,000 Pearl People. That's just too embarrassing. The butterfly monster said coldly. The white demon bear scratched its head. But you couldn't even capture 5 demon thearchs previously, Yao Dai. Isn't that just bad luck? Then do you think the six-winged dragon emperor will also have bad luck? The white demon bear was still worried. Yao Dai, shut your stinky mouth. Then, the two of them simultaneously sensed an undisguised familiar aura. Yao Dai smiled. Look, isn't the six-winged dragon emperor back safe and sound? The white demon bear raised its head. Sure enough, it saw a huge figure breaking through the white mist. It was just about to greet it when its entire body froze in place. It looked at the figure on the dragon's back. There seems to be someone else on the dragon's back. Yao Dai raised its head. Then it sucked in a breath of cold air. F*CK. Why are they here? The white demon bear was dumbfounded. What did you say? Who are they? It turned to look at the butterfly monster. However, it discovered a figure fleeing into the distance. The white demon bear, F*CK, wait for me. The two emperor-level sea monsters began to flee one after the other. However, How could they be faster than the six-winged Dragon Emperor? They were quickly caught up. Dragon Emperor, how dare you side with the enemy and go against the will of the great sage? Yao Dai was both shocked and enraged. Shameless. The white demon bear also cursed. However, they were greeted by an extremely scorching flame breath. Boom! The crimson flames surged toward the white demon bear. The white demon bear swatted with its paw. A vast power instantly tore the flames apart. However, this pause was enough for the two silver Gundams to reach the white demon bear and surround it. The six-winged Dragon Emperor didn't stop. It continued to pounce toward Yao Dai. When it was close enough, the six-winged Dragon Emperor, the clown, and Dabai attacked it at the same time. While they were surrounding him, Lin took advantage of the opportunity to use the Shadow Tiger technique of the six techniques to slice the butterfly monster in half. The six-winged Dragon Emperor's eyes widened when it saw Lin's sword technique. It finally came to its senses, as expected of a freak that even the butterfly monster was afraid of. However, no matter how afraid it still couldn't escape from this freak's poisonous claws. When everyone returned, they saw the white demon bear again. At this moment, the white demon bear was already cooked. However, it didn't look very delicious. Lin and the others didn't eat it. Instead, they put away the two Gundams and began to head toward the center of Venerate Demon Island. The 10 spirits sacrificial formation that covered the entire island was still in operation. On this land that was filled with filth and blood, 3 white herbs emitted a holy light and purified the air around them. This is the divine white herb? I didn't expect there to be 3 of them. Did you guys plant them? And Lin was pleasantly surprised. The demonic dragon grimaced. This is a medium to summon the great sage. We only managed to get these 3 in 3,000 years. Oh, then I'll kindly accept them. And Lin nodded very naturally. Then, he plucked them off without hesitation and put them into his storage ring. The demonic dragon's heart sank again. They were clearly giving these to the great sage. They weren't giving them to you. Why the hell are you smiling and accepting them? Is there anything else good? And Lin felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders after he finished collecting the materials. However, he still continued to ask with interest. The demonic dragon shook its head. There's nothing else. This land is actually not suitable for growing spiritual objects. And Lin nodded. He looked at the blood that was still flowing endlessly on the ground and sighed. It's just a pity for the 90,000 living beings. They were forcefully sucked dry by you guys. The demonic dragon suddenly felt a chill envelop it. It hurriedly lowered its head and remained silent. Ding dong! The system's voice suddenly sounded in Lin's mind. And Lin's heart trembled. There's finally a response from the system. He immediately opened up the system. Detected that host has arrived at Venerate Demon Island. Now assigning the following special mission. Kill the holy demon and destroy its heart. Mission success. Receive the second stage of the lightning essence cultivation method. Mission failure. Be struck by lightning for 2 hours. Note, this mission cannot be rejected. Chapter 285. Lin was elated when he saw the system's mission. Strike by lightning? He wasn't afraid of that. However, he was more than happy to learn cultivation techniques. We have to kill the holy demon. But isn't the holy demon completely sealed on the island by Shanin? If you can't complete the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation, can it still break the seal? Lin was a little confused when he saw the system's request. He turned to the demonic dragon and asked curiously. The flaming demonic dragon nodded. Shinyan's seal is too old. It's already weakened. We used the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation to make the holy demon's resurrection smoother and recover its strength faster. Even without this formation, the holy demon can still break the seal with the power of heaven and earth once the sun in the sky forms a line. The only thing we can do now is to completely destroy the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation. When the holy demon awakens, it will be extremely weak without a source of energy. That will be the best time for us to defeat it. Now that the demonic dragon and Lin were on the same boat, it naturally wouldn't hide any other information. Where's the holy demon's seal? Can we kill it while it's still sealed? Unlin asked curiously. He remembered that Shun-Een had sealed it on a purple mountain, but that mountain had disappeared. The demonic dragon smiled helplessly. The holy demon has already merged with the Zeeming mountain and become a part of the island. That's the only way it can absorb the energy of the sun to the maximum. Unlin looked around the vast land and rubbed his brows. Then there's no other way. We can't release the holy demon. We can only wait for it to break the seal and then kill it. The demonic dragon said, "The sun will form a line in 3 days." Unlin nodded. "All right, then we'll make preparations in the next 3 days." Meanwhile, in the depths of the East Sea, there was an extremely prosperous city of light. It was like the only pearl in the darkness, emitting a light as bright as day. This city was called Dragon City. It had a population of over 100 million dragons. At the same time, there were also living beings from various races of the East Sea living here. It was an extremely tolerant and open city. The number one faction in the East Sea, the Dragon Court, was located above Dragon City. If Dragon City was the most dazzling pearl in the Eastern Sea, then the Dragon Court was the most dazzling diamond on this pearl. The palaces of the Dragon Court could be said to be extremely beautiful. Every place exuded extravagance. Even the bricks on the ground were meticulously carved by craftsmen. Perhaps this was the taste of the Dragon Clan. They all had a hobby of collecting and showing off treasures. At this moment, the Dragon Court's Supreme Dragon King was angrily staring at the woman kneeling on the ground. The ministers of the Dragon Tribe and the members of the royal family stood on two sides with expressions of pity, confusion, or schadenfreude. The atmosphere in the main hall was extremely heavy, and the oppressive atmosphere made it hard for people to breathe. However, at the center of the entire incident, the woman in the blue robe who was kneeling on the ground had an indifferent expression. The Dragon King looked at the woman with a look of exasperation. "You have the best aptitude and the purest bloodline among the younger generation of the Dragon Court. You are also the prodigy with the highest chance of reaching the Tao integration stage. You sacrifice your own bloodline to save that city of pearl people and those strange human cultivators. Can't you just run away if you can't beat them? Even if the entire Pearl Kingdom is destroyed, it's not worth it for you to cripple your own bloodline, let alone a city of pearl people." Idiot. Idiot beyond belief. The Dragon King's body trembled slightly, and he became more and more enraged as he spoke. He didn't think that the daughter he had high hopes for would sacrifice her own cultivation. Even in front of the higher-ups of the Dragon Court, he couldn't help but let loose a torrent of abuse. The woman lowered her head slightly. This is a decision that Bai Lian made out of her own free will. Bai Lian is willing to bear all the consequences. You want to bear all the consequences? You're shouldering the responsibility of reviving the future of the Dragon Court. I've always given you the best cultivation resources, but now you've ruined that future. Tell me, how are you going to bear all the consequences?" The Dragon King's hands trembled with rage as he stared at the silent woman before him. From now on, Ao Shaoqian is stripped of her right to represent the Dragon Court. All of her cultivation resources are to be given to Ao Kong. The Dragon King spoke again. "Thank you, Father." A crimson-haired man made his way to Bai Lian's side before kneeling down to the Dragon King with gratitude on his face. Everyone lowered their heads slightly, and no one had any objections. This was not a strange decision. In a sense, it could be said that the Dragon Princess, who had once been hailed as the hope of the Dragon Court, had completely fallen from grace. The Dragon Tribe focused on their bloodline, and if their bloodline was tainted beyond repair, they would most likely never be able to make any progress in their cultivation. In other words, Bai Lian had already been reduced to a cripple who couldn't cultivate. Her fate was almost foreseeable, and she would most likely be married off as a tool for political alliances. The Dragon King flew into a rage in the main palace, but Bai Lian had already accepted her fate. Her expression was indifferent, and it was impossible to tell whether she was happy or angry. Bai Lian exited the main palace and made her way to the side of the Jade Lake to pluck another tree branch. 11th sister, I didn't think you would do something so stupid. The crimson-haired man walked over with a wistful expression on his face. Bei Lian bowed gracefully. Ninth brother, I don't think I did anything wrong. I told you. With your personality, you won't be able to go far even if you have talent. I was right, wasn't I? You probably won't even be able to reach the soul formation final stage, much less the return to void stage. The crimson-haired man shook his head as a mocking expression appeared on his face. He couldn't even be bothered to put on an act anymore. It was precisely because Bei Lian had overshadowed his brilliance that the Dragon Court had given all of its cultivation resources to Bei Lian, yet no one cared about him. Why? Just because of Bei Lian's bloodline? But now, Bei Lian had even crippled her bloodline in order to save some pearl. What a joke. Hee, one adorable little sister. The crimson-haired man couldn't be bothered to speak to someone like her. He chuckled lightly before departing. Bei Lian didn't say anything. Instead, she broke off a branch from a tree and squatted beside the jade lake. She began to stir the goldfish at the bottom of the lake. These goldfish had formed a school, and they quickly scattered after being stirred by her. Before they knew it, the goldfish had gathered together again. Her cherry lips parted slightly, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the lake and scaring away a few more goldfish. 11th sister, I just saw Chi Wu pass by with a smile on his face. Did that bastard say anything to you? Father has gone too far. He actually scolded you in front of so many people. He didn't even give you any cultivation resources. Are you even his biological son? A beautiful young girl in a white dress walked to Bei Lian's side and spoke angrily. Bei Lian shook her head lightly. I can understand why father is doing this. He's placing all of his hopes on his children. He hopes that a Dao integration stage true dragon will appear in the Dragon Court and become a first-rate power in the Taichu continent. Inyu pursed her lips in dissatisfaction. That's right. He's almost become a breeding dragon for the sake of his dream of unifying the East Sea and the 100 tribes. He's found so many wives and has so many children, but he only treats his family members by dividing them into useful and useless ones. I heard from the High Priest that the Dragon King intends to betroth you to Xia Zhe in order to rope him in. What on earth is going on? Bei Lian's slender hand trembled slightly, and the tree branch fell into the lake, scaring away all the goldfish in the lake. Inyu looked at Bei Lian with a worried expression. She didn't know what to say. Xia Zhe was the captain of the Dragon Court's Divine Guardian Squad, and he had been in love with Bei Lian for a long time. At the time, Bei Lian was the little dragon princess, and her status was extremely revered. 2 years ago, she publicly rejected Xia Zhe's advances, and no one said anything about it. But now, Bei Lian's status had plummeted, and the Dragon King actually decided to betroth her. Even Inyu felt extremely disappointed. One had to realize that Bei Lian had already lost her mother, and she no longer had a path of cultivation. Now, even her last bit of happiness was going to be taken away from her. Bei Lian came to her senses slightly, and a rare expression of desolation appeared in her eyes. She changed the topic. All right, why did you call Chi Wu a bastard just then? Weren't you on good terms with him before? Inyu faltered slightly upon hearing this. She recalled that she and Chi Wu had chosen to remain silent at the same time. She didn't say anything because she wanted to protect that man, and Chi Wu didn't say anything to protect his own image. Inyu pondered for a moment and decided to tell Bei Lian. I'll tell you something in secret, but you can't tell anyone. In the Dragon Court's ancient battlefield, I accidentally entered the myriad ghost realm. Chi Wu was afraid of danger, so he left me among the ghosts and ran away by himself. If it wasn't for a human cultivator who came to my rescue, I would have most likely died there. Really? Then, who was that cultivator who saved you? He saved your life, and you let him go just like that? Bei Lian asked with a hint of a smile on her face. Inyu's heart sank again when she recalled that cultivator's vile behavior. His name is Lin, and he'll come to the Dragon Court to find me. You'll be able to see him then. His name is Lin? Bei Lian's expression faltered, and her cold voice trembled slightly. Chapter 286. The night sky was as dark as ink, and the moon was obscured by dark clouds. For some reason, the thick fog began to disperse, and specks of starlight could be seen twinkling in the sky. On Venerate Demon Island, the 10 spirits' sacrificial formation had already been completely destroyed, and fresh blood had dried up on the ground. The ground glowed with a purple light, and there was a hint of a bewitching aura. The six-winged dragon emperor circled in the sky, and crimson flames twined around its body, illuminating half the sky. Unlin, Dabai, Xiaoqiu, and Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 all stood on a black brick, and they looked down at Venerate Demon Island with solemn expressions. The trap that they had prepared using Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 was already in place. Now, they only had to wait for the Holy Demon to break out of its seal. At its peak, the Holy Demon had the power of the return to void initial stage. Even in the entire continent, it was considered a top-notch cultivator. Back then, Shunin was at the half-step return to void stage, and she was an extremely talented cultivator. Even after using countless trump cards, she still couldn't kill it. She could only seal it in the purple mist mountain. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the Holy Demon was at that time. Now that the Holy Demon had been sealed for almost 10,000 years, there was finally hope that it could break out of its seal. At that time, it was at its weakest, but its power was still unfathomable. Thus, regarding the question of whether they could defeat the Holy Demon, Lin and the others weren't very sure. At some point in time, the 9 golden stars formed a line, and it hung in the night sky like a golden longsword. Rumble. Suddenly, the purple ground began to tremble slightly. "It's here." Lin's heart thumped, and he began to speak nervously. The power of the stars in the night sky seemed to be attracted by some kind of power from the purple ground. The 9 golden stars became even brighter, and a wisp of golden light descended from the sky, slowly merging with Venerate Demon Island. Kacha, as if some shackle had been broken, the purple light on Venerate Demon Island suddenly dimmed. Immediately afterward, a pillar of purple light soared into the sky, piercing through the clouds, as if it was going to break through this part of the world. Holy F***CK. This scene is definitely the scene of the birth of a great demon king, Unlin of astonishment, and his entire body began to tense up as he stared intently at the pillar of light on the ground. The purple light disappeared, and a humanoid figure appeared on the ground. His skin was dark purple, and his eyes were deep and gloomy, like bottomless black holes. There was a purple halo above his head, releasing brilliant divine light. Lord Holy One, the 6-winged dragon emperor shuddered when it saw the Holy Demon appear. It couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence. This was an emotion that a low-level being naturally felt toward a high-level being. The Holy Demon lifted his head and looked at the crowd in the sky. There was no change in his expression. "Begin the battle. Electromagnetic lightning bomb. Activate," Lin suddenly said. Boom! The ball of lightning hidden in the ground moved to the Holy Demon's feet and exploded. The ground within a radius of 1,000 feet was instantly annihilated by the lightning explosion, and the entire area became a lightning purgatory. The 6-winged dragon emperor opened its mouth and breathed out. Crimson flames descended from the sky toward the Holy Demon. It was like heavenly flames punishing the Holy Demon, causing the entire ground to explode and melt. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2's photovoltaic cannons shot toward the Holy Demon at the same time. Xiao Chao's black flames, Dabai's wind blades, and in Lin's mountain quaking lightning fist all shot toward the Holy Demon. Rumble. The terrifying energy caused the island to tremble and the ocean to churn. The explosion of energy made it seem as if a blazing sun had appeared in the night sky, illuminating the entire heaven and earth. The 6-winged dragon emperor's heart trembled at the sight of such a terrifying and concentrated attack. It knew that it wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack even if it had 10 lives. Whoosh! A streak of purple light shot toward the 6-winged dragon emperor like a bolt of lightning. The 6-winged dragon emperor's pupils contracted. This was the Holy Demon. Although it was injured and purple blood flowed from its body, its aura, which was as vast as the sea, was rapidly increasing. It had already reached an extremely terrifying level. The holy demon's entire body was enveloped in a purple aura. Like a bolt of lightning, it instantly pierced through the six-winged dragon emperor's body. Ow! The six-winged dragon emperor howled in anguish. A large hole appeared in its body, and blood sprayed through the air. It was too fast. It was so fast that the six-winged dragon emperor didn't even have time to put up any defenses. Whoosh! The holy demon didn't slow down. It transformed into a streak of purple light again and charged toward the six-winged dragon emperor's head. Boom! The streak of purple light collided with the blue halo this time, and a series of violent ripples erupted from it. The Gundam took action. The ionic deprivation protection formation was activated, and it finally managed to block the holy demon's attack. Just as the protective formation was starting to crack, another Gundam slashed toward the holy demon with a light sword. The holy demon retreated and easily dodged the light sword's attack. Purple Star, Bloodline, Artificial Intelligence Weapon. The holy demon spoke calmly. A strange expression appeared on its face. Then, it turned its gaze toward the six-winged dragon emperor. You've defied my will, surrendered to the enemy, and broken the 10 spirits' blood sacrifice formation. You've committed a capital crime. The holy demon had just finished speaking when the purple halo above its head suddenly doubled in size. A suffocating aura was released from its body without restraint. Bracelet-like purple halos also began to appear on its hands. It raised its hand and punched out. The purple figure's fist, which was as heavy as a mountain, crashed toward the ionic deprivation protection formation. The ionic deprivation protection formation cracked. In the next instant, the blue barrier of light shattered like glass. The fist shattered the protective formation and landed on the six-winged dragon emperor's head. The six-winged dragon emperor suffered a concussion from the terrifying power of this punch. Just as the holy demon's fist landed, the dragon emperor's head caved in, and he began to foam at the mouth as he plummeted toward the ground. A streak of white light streaked through the air and slashed toward the holy demon's neck at an extremely strange angle. The holy demon, which had always been extremely calm and collected, suddenly changed its expression and retreated explosively. Purple blood splattered into the air again. A wound that was neither deep nor shallow appeared on the holy demon's neck. A masked monkey appeared behind the holy demon. Its silver cudgel tore through space and smashed toward the holy demon's head. The holy demon turned around and smashed its fist toward the silver cudgel. Boom! A tremendous force crashed into the clown, causing him to vomit blood and fly backward. Right at this moment, heaven and earth suddenly turned pitch black. Everything fell silent. Only a black sword projection carrying with it the power of absolute destruction slashed toward the holy demon's back. After unleashing the wind sword, Enlin resolutely used the second technique of the 6 strikes of the war god, Shadow Tiger. The black sword projection extended for over 1,000 feet and fell soundlessly. It was as if it was going to slice through and devour all things. A shriek sounded, and the purple figure retreated madly into the distance, leaving a trail of blood behind it. Light reappeared between heaven and earth. The holy demon appeared 1,000 meters away from Enlin. It stared at Enlin in shock. From its head to its waist, there was a ghastly wound. It seemed as if its body was about to be torn in half. Purple blood flowed continuously from the wound and splattered onto the ground. If a normal cultivator were to suffer such a serious injury, they would have died a long time ago. However, the holy demon only panted heavily and looked at Enlin cautiously. I underestimated my enemy. I didn't think that a cultivator of the spirit nurturing stage could use such a terrifying sword technique. The holy demon had to admit that the cultivator in front of it almost caused it to fail miserably. Enlin's heart jolted with shock. Even a soul formation final stage cultivator would die on the spot if he and Xiao Cho were to unleash a surprise attack from the demonic dragon. However, the holy demon's reaction speed was far too fast. Not only was it able to dodge the wind sword, but it was also able to dodge most of the damage from the Shadow Tiger's unpredictable attack. and Lin swallowed a blood spirit pill and started to recover his energy. Gundam 1, Gundam 2, go. The holy demon was already severely injured. The two Gundams pounced toward the holy demon again. This time, the two Gundams were finally able to put up a fight. They were able to exchange blows with the holy demon. After swallowing the blood spirit pill, Lin quickly replenished the energy he had expended from using the 6 strikes of the war god. So what if the holy demon is strong? I'll kill it even if I have to fight it out. A confident expression appeared on his face. He raised his sword and flew toward the holy demon again. Chapter 287. Boom! The holy demon's body was sent flying by the Gundam and crashed into a small mountain, causing half of it to collapse. At this moment, Lin had already spread open his wings of wind and appeared in front of the holy demon like a gust of wind. He slashed down with his sword without hesitation. The holy demon revealed a vicious expression and also punched toward Lin. The fist and sword didn't meet. Both of them were planning to exchange blows. Rip! One of the holy demon's arms was severed. Lin's shoulder was struck by the fist. The bones and flesh around him were instantly twisted and shattered by the immense force, and his body was sent flying. At this moment, Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 charged toward the holy demon again. Lin swallowed a first-grade spirit pill, the vitality replenishment pill. Crackle. White light erupted from his body, and the flesh around his shoulder started to heal at a visible rate. At the same time, the evergreen technique also started to heal him. The vitality replenishment pill could not only quickly recover vital energy, but could also heal internal injuries at an extremely fast rate. Its effects were almost comparable to low-grade immortal pills. However, he swallowed it without hesitation. He wanted to exhaust the holy demon to death. He might not be able to defeat the holy demon with his strength, but he had a lot of pills. And Lin had never been afraid of anyone in a battle of attrition. Just like that, the holy demon became more and more disheveled. The number of injuries on his body increased, but Lin was as fierce as ever. Vital energy? Stamina? Injuries? These weren't problems. Soon, the holy demon's situation became extremely dire. Boom! He was careless, and his body was once again heavily injured by Lin. You forced me to do this. Blood sacrificial god, 5 times the strength. A vicious expression appeared on the holy demon's face. He never thought that he would have to sacrifice his lifespan and potential. However, if he didn't do this, he would be exhausted to death by this human cultivator. The blood in the holy demon's body surged, and the purple halo above his head increased by 5 times. As the light grew brighter, his aura also increased explosively, reaching a level that made even Lin's heart palpitate. F*CK, this isn't simple. Lin's expression changed, and he commanded, Demon Dragon, attack. The 6-winged Dragon Emperor, perhaps it was the effect of the slave contract, but it dragged its heavily injured body and spat out its strongest move, the Scarlet Flame Blood Fireball. The nearly 30-meter-wide fireball whistled through the air. Everywhere it passed, the air distorted and the earth melted. The holy demon looked at the fireball and punched out. Spatial ripples spread out. An indescribably mysterious power instantly shattered the fireball and sent the demonic dragon flying hundreds of meters away. The 6-winged Dragon Emperor lay on the ground like a dead snake. This time, it really wasn't going to make it. Spatial power. This holy demon's strength is already close to the return to void stage. And Lin's heart sank upon seeing this, and he immediately stopped Xiao, Cho, and Dabai from taking the risk to attack. The holy demon's expression was bone-chilling as it stared at Lin with its pitch-black eyes. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 pounced toward the holy demon. Light swords, cannonballs, and flames rained down upon it. However, the holy demon's speed was frighteningly fast this time, and Gundam 1 and Gundam 2's attacks all missed. In just 3 breaths, one of the Gundams was sent flying hundreds of meters and crashed into a mountain. The other Gundam was punched into the ground, and no one knew how deep it was. How dare you force me to sacrifice my god with blood? I'm going to devour your flesh, refine your consciousness, and send you into eternal hell." The holy demon walked toward Enlin with an invincible aura. Its voice was like that of an evil god, striking fear into the hearts of those who heard it. Enlin spat lightly. "Arrogant? Do you think you're the only one who has a buff body?" Boom! Enlin's aura also began to soar explosively, and he instantly reached the soul formation stage. Origin energy of the netherworld. 3 techniques, 100 swords. The evil-slaying sword let out a clear ringing sound and flew into the air. 99 white celestial swords began to materialize in the air, exuding a might that caused the space around them to tremble. The 100 swords unleashed by the origin energy of the netherworld were many times more powerful than when he had slain the Overlord Whale. Once the sword intent of the 100 swords was unleashed, the entire heaven and earth became filled with killing intent. Even the dust floating in the air was annihilated into nothingness. The holy demon's footsteps faltered, and an expression of shock appeared in its eyes. It took a deep breath and stabbed a hand into its heart. Holy sacrifice, purple god, nirvana, whirlpool. Boom! A purple whirlpool suddenly appeared in a radius of 100 feet around it. Its center was as deep as a black hole that could engulf all things, and its surroundings were as sharp as blades that could tear apart heaven and earth. The celestial swords moved. They carried with them a boundless sword intent and vast might, and they were like shooting stars that streaked across the sky as they stabbed toward the holy demon, who was walking toward Enlin. Boom, boom, boom. Every white celestial sword had the power to slay the 6-winged dragon emperor. However, when they came into contact with the purple whirlpool, they were forcefully shattered by the terrifying wind blades. The 99 white celestial swords relentlessly bombarded the holy demon, but the holy demon's footsteps didn't stop. The purple whirlpool began to shrink as the celestial swords continued to vibrate. The celestial swords' attacks ended, but they were unable to break through the holy demon's purple god nirvana whirlpool. Enlin pinned his hopes on the final sword strike. The evil-slaying sword's power had already reached its peak. It drew a deathly black line in the air, and it carried with it a heaven-piercing sword intent as it crashed toward the purple whirlpool like a comet striking the moon. Break! The black sword projection was unstoppable, and it pierced through the purple whirlpool. Even the black hole in the center of the whirlpool was sliced open. Purple halos appeared on the holy demon's arms, and it fiercely slapped the black longsword that was stabbing toward its heart. Boom! The shock waves from the sword projection tore a trench over 1,000 meters in length into the ground. Blood splattered from the holy demon's hands, and the tip of the sword was only 3 inches away from its heart. And Lin's heart felt as if it had fallen into an icy cavern. It blocked it. He had a limited time to use the origin energy of the netherworld, and he had planned to use this technique to completely defeat the holy demon. This was also the most powerful technique he could use at the moment. However, he didn't expect that even this technique would be blocked by the holy demon. A sinister expression appeared on the holy demon's face. "You've really surprised me. I admit that you are indeed a little frighteningly powerful. However, how much longer can your mystic technique last? How many more times can you use this technique? You've lost." And Lin knew that he was already in a dire situation. Even if he used the 100-sword technique again, he might not be able to kill the holy demon. Just what kind of technique could he use to secure victory in a single strike? His mind raced, and he finally thought of a certain technique. "I'll probably die if I use that technique while I'm in the origin energy of the netherworld state." As the holy demon drew closer and closer, and Lin gritted his teeth and made a decision. He couldn't care less anymore. He placed the shield of promised victory in front of his chest, and his left hand drew lightning while his right hand glowed with a golden light. The lightning and golden light slowly fused together, and the intent realm of the primordial darkness began to blend together. The violent lightning began to be drawn in by the black threads, and it slowly quieted down. A suffocating might began to spread outward, The holy demon's eyelids twitched when it saw Enlin's fist, and it immediately charged toward Enlin. Nuclear lightning fist. Enlin let out a loud roar as he thrust out his golden fist. The 30 feet wide golden lightning fist smashed toward the holy demon. Black threads bloomed like a lotus flower within the fist. They brought with them the power of annihilation and violence, pulling at the fist like thin threads, causing it to shrink in an eerie manner. The holy demon didn't even think about it, and it immediately retreated. Everything fell silent. The golden fist that was nearing the holy demon exploded with a loud bang, just as the space around it was unable to withstand the energy. The destructive lightning engulfed the holy demon and Enlin, who was protected by the golden light shield. It annihilated the earth and shattered the island. Finally, a gigantic mushroom cloud rose up from Venerate Demon Island, illuminating the entire world. Chapter 288. The last scene that Enlin saw was boundless light, heat, and lightning filling the entire space. The shield of promised victory's golden light shield blocked a portion of the impact before completely collapsing. The remaining impact still crashed into Enlin's body, tearing his body apart and shattering his internal organs. Ding Dong detected that the holy demon's heart has been completely destroyed. Mission complete. Beginning Level 2 Thunder Essence Cultivation Technique. This was the last sound that Enlin heard. Then, he completely fell into darkness. After an unknown period of time. Walala, walala. Enlin opened his bleary eyes as he listened to the sound of waves crashing into his ears. There were a few white clouds floating in the blue sky. He blinked his eyes and finally recalled what had happened before he fainted. Ha! I've finally killed the holy demon. It's all because I'm powerful, decisive, and courageous that I've achieved a great victory. Let's get up first. Enlin raised his neck and tried to sit up. His neck moved, but there was no reaction from his body. Then, he discovered something very shocking. F*CK. Why can't I move my waist? I can't move my hands either. I can't move my feet either. No, I can't feel anything other than the area above my neck. He suddenly thought of a phrase. Hyperplegia. Enlin, Dubai. Clown. He called out loudly. Not far away, a voice suddenly sounded. Big brotherin, you're finally awake, woof. A series of hurried footsteps sounded. Dubai's adorable yet mighty face appeared in front of Enlin. What would happen to me? Enlin asked with a bitter expression. Dubai stuck out his tongue. Big brotherin, you released a nuclear bomb and blasted the holy demon into nothingness. How domineering. Woof. I'm asking, what happened to me? Enlin added with tears in his eyes. Can I still be saved? He lifted his neck and glanced at his body. He found that his body was wrapped in white cloth, and a white healing array formation was continuously healing him. Don't panic, don't panic. It was terrifying when you were blown up just now. Your whole body was burnt black, and even one of your legs was gone. Third brother and I were so scared that we thought you were done for. Dubai shook his head and sighed. Although you didn't die at that time, you weren't much better off. You only had one breath left. If it weren't for the fact that Xiao Cho made a prompt decision to forcibly refine your storage ring and find that 9th grade immortal pill, the Azure Yang pill, which can bring a person back to life, and give it to you on the spot, perhaps you really would have been done for. Woof. Enlin listened to the twists and turns of the plot and looked at his feet. It should be the effect of the Azure Yang pill. He was still a little worried. What's going on with me now? Dubai scratched his head. You ask me, but who am I supposed to ask? Oh, that's right. Xiao Cho is going to bury the little dragon now. After all, we worked together for a while. It died very peacefully. Enlin, why did the little dragon die? Dubai sighed. After that punch from the holy demon last night, it basically lost more breath than it took in. After that, you suddenly used a nuclear bomb. We didn't have time to move it away, so it was also caught in the blast. Enlin's lips twitched. This was called a peaceful death. However, when he signed the slave contract with the six-winged dragon emperor, there wasn't much emotion involved. He only wanted to use this dragon to find their nest. In order to prevent the demonic dragon from betraying them, he signed a slave contract. However, When he heard the news of the demonic dragon's death, a trace of sorrow welled up in his heart. Sigh. Slaying the holy demon this time was really full of twists and turns. He almost lost his life for the sake of the system cultivation method. And Lin sighed as he opened the system and looked at the cultivation method section. The Thunder Essence cultivation method had already reached the second stage. At the same time, it had also developed a unique immortal spell, Lightning Amplification Technique. Its main effect was to increase the power of lightning-type immortal spells. And Lin thought for a moment. This cultivation method might actually be useful when combined with the lightning manipulation technique. Think about it. If someone threw 100,000 volts of lightning at you, you directly threw that person's lightning back and made it 150,000 volts of lightning. How could that person not despair? I'll throw your lightning. I'll throw it back, and it'll be 2 lightning bolts. With this thought, and Lin was excited again. He wanted to try it out. Soon, he came to his senses. F***CK. He was now someone who couldn't even move a finger. How could he use the lightning manipulation technique or lightning amplification technique in this state? He could probably use the divine inspection technique to roll his eyes. And Lin didn't give up. He looked at the other parts of the system. His progression path had already been refreshed. This was a major advancement, so it definitely wasn't a simple matter. Cultivation rank. Soul formation initial stage. Condition. Receive the heart of the divine god. Drink the divine god's elixir. Eat the divine paragon fruit. And Lin had actually seen this advancement requirement once when he was in Bolan City. At that time, he was completely dumbstruck. He had no idea what the heart of the divine god, the divine god's elixir, or the divine paragon fruit were. He still didn't understand now. The divine god probably didn't mean the true god. Otherwise, this requirement would be toxic. It was probably something very high and mighty. Dabai and Xiao Cho didn't understand. He thought about asking the principal, Ishi, or Chong, when he had the time. They were all knowledgeable, so they should know. Big brotherin, you're finally awake. A cry of joy suddenly sounded in the distance. Soon, and Lin saw an excited monkey face leaning very close to him. And Lin was a little irritated, and he tilted his head to the side before asking, Xiao Cho, how long will it take for me to walk on my own? Among everyone present, Xiao Cho was probably the only one who understood his injuries the best. He was the one who had set up the healing spell formation. The clown stroked his chin, which looked like a buttocks, and said with uncertainty, I've checked your injuries before, and your bones and flesh have basically recovered. Your meridians are still reconnecting, and your vitality is extremely depleted. You'll probably be paralyzed for another dozen or so days. And Lin heaved a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Thank God, he wasn't really crippled. He would only be paralyzed for a dozen or so days. However, he suddenly realized another problem. Most of his body was paralyzed, so what was he going to do about Xiao Lonu? School was only going to start in a dozen or so days. And Lin took a deep breath before asking, Xiao Cho, are there any more healing spirit pills in my storage ring? He couldn't even move his fingers, so he naturally couldn't use his storage ring. Xiao Cho was slightly taken aback upon hearing this. He didn't know why Lin was asking this, so he nodded with a perplexed expression. There's still a dozen or so spirit pills. And Lin, feed them all to me. Big brotherin, you can't do this. The effects of the immortal pills haven't worn off yet. Not only will they not work, but they might even harm your body. Xiao Cho immediately tried to dissuade Lin. It's fine. My evergreen technique can perfectly assimilate the effects of those pills. Stop nagging and give them to me. Xiao Cho had no choice but to bring out the dozen or so spirit pills from his storage ring under Lin's coercion. He was then greeted by the sight of Lin swallowing a dozen or so spirit pills in one go without any hesitation. This scared the hell out of Xiao Cho. If he ate them like Lin, he would explode and die at any moment. A green halo appeared above Lin's head. The surging energy contained within the dozen or so spirit pills began to violently rush into every part of his body. The evergreen technique was unleashed to its maximum extent, quickly converting the effects of the spirit pills. There was a determined expression on Lin's face as he lay on the healing spell formation. Dragon Court, here I come. Chapter 289. Dragon City was the largest city in the East Sea. It spanned thousands of kilometers and had hundreds of millions of living beings. It was located in the deep sea and was surrounded by a huge enchantment barrier that simulated the sunrise and sunset on the surface. It was now autumn, and Lin rode Dubai to this bustling city. TSK, TSK, TSK. No wonder Dragon City is the largest city in the East Sea. There are all kinds of buildings and natural scenery, such as mountains, rivers, and lakes. In the past, I wouldn't have believed that such a scene could exist in the deep sea. And Lin exclaimed in amazement, as if he had discovered a paradise. He could move freely now, but his body was still a little weak, and he looked like he had been working too hard. This was also Dubai's first time coming to Dragon City, and his eyes lit up. Not only that, but the girls here are also very beautiful. There are beauties from all races in the East Sea. Big brother, and did you see that seahorse just now? That, but is twisting TSK, TSK, TSK. And Lin, what was so interesting about a seahorse twisting its butt? When it came to appreciating the beauty of different races, Dubai was probably more professional than him. And Lin, Dubai, and Xiao Chou strolled toward the Dragon Court. The Dragon Court wasn't far from where they had entered the enchantment barrier. They should be able to get there in half a day, so they weren't in a hurry. And Lin was enjoying the local customs and culture here with great interest. At this moment, two prawns walking alongside them spoke. Hey, have you heard? The Dragon Court's 11th princess is going to be betrothed to Xia Zhe of the Divine Guardian Squad. A golden prawn said excitedly. Oh, don't lie to me. Dragon Princess rejected Xia Zhe's advances in public 2 years ago, and it caused a huge commotion in Dragon City. Why did she suddenly change her mind now? The other prawn shook its head in disbelief. I didn't lie to you. As for why she changed her mind, I heard. The golden prawn said in a low voice with a mysterious expression. Little dragon maiden risked her life to save a city of pearls in the Pearl Kingdom. In the end, in order to save a human cultivator, she even sacrificed her bloodline. Now, her bloodline is ruined. Otherwise, do you think the Dragon King would be willing to betroth such a promising daughter to the captain of the Divine Guardian Squad? This matter has already spread throughout the Dragon Court, and an announcement will probably be made in the next 1 or 2 days. The other prawn was stunned after hearing that. Why do you sound even more unbelievable? For the sake of a bunch of useless pearls and a human I just met, you're going to ruin your path. Is Xiao Longnu crazy? As the two prawns walked further and further away, and Lin slowly closed his eyes. There was a deep sense of guilt on his face. Let's go to Dubai Fly. Dragon Court, Jade Pavilion. Big Sister Bailian, are you really leaving? Inu grabbed onto Bailian's wrist with a reluctant expression on her face. She knew that Bailian's departure meant that she was cutting off all ties with the Dragon Court. With the Dragon King's personality, he wouldn't allow her to return to the Dragon Court. Bailian smiled faintly and held onto Inu's hand. I don't have a choice, do I? Father wants me to marry someone I don't like at all. I can't agree to this. Since I can't resist, I can only choose to leave. The rims of Inu's eyes turned red, and she didn't know what to say. She knew Bei Lian's personality very well. She was a woman of her word, and no one could force her to do anything. It's all that human cultivator's fault. What right does he have to make you pay such a price? Inu was full of grievances, but she had no one to complain to, so she pushed all the blame onto that unknown human cultivator. There was a gentle expression on Bei Lian's face as she looked at the little sister she doted on the most in the Dragon Court. No, I'm very glad that I saved him. You'll find out soon enough. Inu blinked her large, bright eyes and stared blankly at her big sister. Bei Lian didn't plan on saying anything else. She hadn't told the Dragon Court the human cultivator's name because she didn't want to create unnecessary trouble for him. However, this matter couldn't be hidden for long. After all, the story of the two of them had already spread throughout the Pearl Kingdom. Inu would also find out about it sooner or later. She sighed softly. Sometimes, fate was really a wonderful thing. If she hadn't saved that human cultivator, the human cultivator wouldn't have appeared on the ancient battlefield. If the human cultivator didn't appear on the ancient battlefield, then it was very likely that Enyu would have died there. In other words, saving the human cultivator's life was equivalent to saving Enyu's life as well. What kind of cause, what kind of effect? It really wasn't a loss. However, who knew how Enyu would feel when she found out about this? Bei Lian took a deep breath and stood up with a carefree expression on her face. I'm leaving. We'll meet again in the future. Enyu also stood up. I'll see you off. Bei Lian snapped. Why are you sending me off? It's not like I'm going to do anything serious. I'm going on a run. Enyu pouted with a stubborn expression. Then don't forget little fish in the future, big sister. Little fish is going to train in the outside world. Then I'll contact you via voice transmission talisman. All right, I got it. Bei Lian patted Enyu's head with a gentle expression on her exquisite face. Take good care of yourself. Big sister, you take care too. Enyu nodded as she stared at the beautiful figure in front of her. That beautiful figure turned into a streak of rainbow light and flew out of the jadeite pavilion, fleeing into the distance. Bei Lian left quietly, leaving her former home. Out of so many brothers and sisters, she only bid farewell to her little sister, Enyu. At the end of the day, apart from Enyu, there was nothing else in the Dragon Court that was worthy of her nostalgia. Right now, she just wanted to find a good place to live the rest of her life in peace. Where should I go? A perplexed expression appeared on Bei Lian's cold face. Right at this moment, the voice transmission talisman in her pocket suddenly flashed. This aura is... She faltered as she took out the voice transmission talisman. Why is it him? Why is he contacting me? That's right, he said he was coming to the Dragon Court as a guest. So, he should be looking for little fish. Bei Lian hesitated for a moment before picking up the voice transmission talisman. Mr. Enlin, it's me, Mr. Bei Lian. I've come to Dragon City. Are you in the Dragon Court? I'll go find you. There's no need. I've already left the Dragon Court. Let's meet again if fate allows it. What fate? Where are you? I'll come find you immediately. Enlin's tone became a little urgent. Bei Lian didn't reply because she saw a figure riding a dog toward her while she was flying. The man riding the dog was also clearly dazed. In the end, he chuckled. That's a good use of the phrase, let's meet again if fate allows it. It looks like we're quite fated. The person who had just arrived was none other than Enlin, and he was clearly also very surprised. Bei Lian sighed lightly in her heart, but her voice remained cold. Do you need something from me? Yes. Enlin nodded with a hint of guilt and sincerity. I'm sorry I came late and made you suffer so much. Bei Lian was a little confused. What do you mean by coming late and suffering? Are you here to apologize? Enlin shook his head. No, I'm here to repay a debt of gratitude. Repay a debt of gratitude? Bei Lian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just as she was about to refuse, Enlin's next sentence caused her to be rooted to the spot. I'm here to help you refine and activate your bloodline. Gathering materials takes up too much time. I heard about what happened to you, but I didn't think something like this would happen. If I knew something like this would happen, I would have told you in advance. I'm sorry. Bei Lian had yet to come to her senses, and Enlin's words reverberated in her mind. Refine and activate my bloodline? Chapter 290. But isn't my bloodline already crippled? Even my father can't do anything about it. Do you really have a way to purify and activate it? Bei Lian's eyes widened with incredulity. Enlin nodded with a serious expression. Your father can activate it, but that doesn't mean others can't. This is a method I obtained from Senior Shanine, and I guarantee it will work. Senior Shanine, are you talking about the heavenly dragon goddess of the dragon tribe? Bei Lian's mouth gaped open as if she had heard something extremely shocking. Shanine was the senior with the highest chance of successfully progressing to the Tao integration stage in the past 10,000 years. If she had chosen the true dragon Tao, she would have most likely succeeded a long time ago. Her experiences had made her a legendary figure in the Dragon Court, and she was Bei Lian's idol. How could Bei Lian maintain her composure now that Enlin was claiming that she was the one who had devised this method? That's her. And Lin nodded with certainty. I discovered this method through a fortuitous encounter. Let's go somewhere else to talk. And Lin flew off on his dog's back as he spoke. Bei Lian followed behind him in a daze, as if she was still digesting this information. They arrived at a secluded mountain. This place was extremely tranquil, with only the occasional chirping of birds and insects. This is a good place to do things in secret. And Lin nodded with satisfaction as he surveyed the surroundings. Bei Lian, big brother, and there's nothing wrong with the basic meaning, but why does it sound so perverted when it comes out of your mouth? Woof. Dabai heaved a forlorn sigh. Bam! Dabai received another punch to the head. Anyone can say that, but you can't. How dare a perverted dog comment on me? And Lin snapped. Woof. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Like master, like dog. Dabai retorted. And Lin's chest constricted upon hearing this. F***CK. Dabai's words were like self-inflicted wounds. A faint smile appeared on Bei Lian's face as she watched the two of them play around. She slowly recovered from Lin's words. Although she was very excited, she was not in a hurry to speak. She only stared at the man in front of her with a pair of beautiful eyes filled with anticipation. And Lin realized that Bei Lian had been staring at him this entire time, and he couldn't help but blush. He coughed lightly and said, Stop fooling around. Let's get down to business. As he spoke, he began to fish out one item after another from his storage ring. This is the 1,000-year moon sinking what I got from the Green Island. This is the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon that I found in the ancient battlefield of the Dragon Court. The dark ice crystal from the heavenly frost island, the desolate firebone from the soaring snake volcano, the divine white herb from the venerate devil island. Bei Lian silently stared at the items that Lin had taken out from his storage ring. These items all contained extremely powerful energy fluctuations, and just a single glance was enough to tell that they were all extraordinary items. In particular, when she saw the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon, her heart trembled violently. She had heard the names of these two items from Inyo. Wasn't the reason why Lin had ventured into the ancient battlefield so that he could obtain these two items? So that's why. So Lin had ventured into the ancient battlefield to collect these two items in order to resolve the issue of her bloodline. These are the items. Later, I will set up a bloodline purification spell formation with Xiao Chou. You don't need to do anything else other than meditate at the center of the spell formation and circulate your true dragon mantra. Lin was clearly much more serious now that he was talking about business. The spell formation was extremely complex. After all, this was not an ordinary spell formation, and it required an extremely large amount of energy. Not only did it require the activation of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but it also required the support of 100,000 spirit stones. Just setting up this spell formation took 2 hours. Immediately after that, it was time to activate the spell formation. Lin and Xiao Chou were the main operators of the spell formation. They stood on opposite ends of the spell formation and injected their vital energy into the spell formation to guide the energy. The spell formation was activated, and the projection of an ancient golden dragon appeared between heaven and earth with boundless majesty. The essence of all the materials was drawn upon by the spell formation and transformed into thin streams that flowed into Bei Lian's body, cleansing her bloodline that had become unbearably mottled. It was very easy to completely destroy something, but it was many times more difficult to restore something that had been destroyed. It was like smashing a priceless piece of porcelain and restoring a broken piece of porcelain to its original state. The two were on completely different levels of difficulty. The first step now was to purify Bei Lian's bloodline and remove the impurities. This step was equivalent to piecing together a broken piece of porcelain according to its original appearance. The second step was to reactivate the bloodline that had already died. This was a process from death to life. It was equivalent to piecing together the broken pieces and combining them together to form the original piece of porcelain. This was a miraculous step. Before they knew it, they had already reached the second step. The spell formation began to spin more violently as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and spirit stones quickly flowed into the spell formation, causing the projection of the golden dragon to become more and more substantial. All of the materials quickly withered, and their energy was absorbed by the golden dragon before being injected into Baelian's body. A withered tree was given a new lease on life. After what seemed like an eternity, a joyous dragon's roar reverberated throughout heaven and earth. It was as if it was saying, "I, the Dragon Princess, have returned." That's right, the cold and confident Dragon Princess had returned. Baelian stood up straight and sensed the surging life force within her bloodline. This life force was even more powerful than before she had sacrificed her bloodline. And Lin was completely exhausted and lay on the ground with sweat pouring down his face. He swallowed an energy-replenishing spirit pill. His body hadn't fully recovered in the first place, and after such a torment, he really felt like he couldn't stand up anymore. "Haha, see, the Dragon Princess, you were right to trust me. I've succeeded, haven't I?" And Lin chuckled triumphantly. To be honest, he wasn't very confident before he started the spell formation. After all, he had the theoretical knowledge, but he hadn't tried it out yet. Who knew what would go wrong along the way? But after Enlin heard that dragon's roar, he knew he had succeeded. Baelian stared at Enlin with a complex expression. She had sacrificed her bloodline to save Enlin's life. She didn't think too much about it at the time, nor did she expect that Enlin would return a dozen or so days later with the materials that could reactivate her bloodline and give her a new lease on life. "Thank you." Baelian didn't know what to say and only managed to utter these two words after thinking for a long time. And Lin waved his hands with a smile. "No need to thank me. If it weren't for you, I would have died in Bolan City. This is to repay you for saving my life. Also, my life is more valuable than yours, so it won't be so easy to repay this debt. I don't think I have anything to give you right now, but one day I'll make a meteoric rise and my name will resound throughout the entire continent. When that time comes, I'll protect you." Baelian pursed her lips into a smile. "All right, then I'll have to hug you tightly." And Lin nodded with a matter-of-fact expression. "Then what do you plan to do next?" Baelian naturally knew what Lin was asking. Now that she had recovered the power of her bloodline, she could regain her status in the Dragon Court at any time if she wanted to. But did she really have to go back? A friend in need was a friend indeed. When everyone learned that her bloodline had been crippled and her cultivation base had stagnated, all of her seemingly friendly siblings, with the exception of Inu, became extremely cold and indifferent. There wasn't even a single hypocritical expression of concern for her. Her father even ignored her wishes and forcefully betrothed her to Xiaze. Even though she knew that her family's personalities were like this, when it really happened to her, she was still bitterly disappointed. Was this kind of heartless family, a family that was only supported by a bloodline from a different mother, really worth cherishing? "I don't want to go back." Baelian took a deep breath and smiled. After leaving the Dragon Court, she would lose all of her cultivation resources, cultivation methods, pills, spirit stones, materials, everything. She would become an itinerant cultivator, and she would have to fight for everything on her own. But for some reason, she just didn't want to go back. And Lin could understand her decision. What F*** King era was this? How could arranged marriages still be popular in the cultivation world? Just this alone made him dislike the Dragon Court. Wasn't this illegal? And Lin, remember to pass on a message to Inu when you go to the Dragon Court. Tell her that my bloodline has already recovered, and I'm going to travel the continent for a few years. Tell her not to worry, and tell her to keep this a secret for me. You're not going to tell her yourself? That's enough. Emotions are easily expended. We've already bid farewell once. What a waste of emotions if we have to do it again. You've left me speechless. Then, Lin, we'll meet again if fate wills it. Goodbye, Dragon Princess. Baelian looked at Lin with a gentle expression, as if she had a million words to say. But in the end, she only smiled like a spring breeze, waved her hand, and flew away. From then on, there was one more person in the corner of her heart, and he was labeled as someone she liked. Chapter 291. After watching Little Dragon Maiden leave, Lin and the others made their way back to the Dragon Court. In reality, His purpose in coming to the Dragon Court was to re-purify and activate little Dragon Maiden's bloodline. As for going to the Dragon Court to read books, that was just a side benefit. But now, he had another mission to deliver information. And Lin arrived at the main gate of the Dragon Court and was astonished by the exquisitely beautiful pavilions within. Extravagant. This was way too extravagant. Every pavilion was like a work of art. Their designs were pleasing to the eye, and the landscaping plants were all types of rare spirit plants. Even the paths were paved with spirit jade. What a blatant display of wealth. And Lin stood at the entrance and shook his head with a sigh. He really wanted to move all the bricks on the ground of the Dragon Court. Now that he thought about it, it wasn't impossible to get rich by moving bricks. And Lin pulled out his voice transmission talisman and quickly connected to someone. "Hello, Mr. Inu. I'm at your doorstep." Wait a moment. I'll be right there." Inu's excited voice sounded from the voice transmission talisman. Soon, a lithe and graceful young woman in white appeared before Lin. She was sitting on a giant turtle that could fly. There was a faint smile on her face, and she seemed to be a little melancholy. "I've been waiting for you for a long time. Let's go. I'll show you around the Dragon Court." Inu gestured for Lin to sit on the turtle. Lin had never sat on a creature like this before, so he was a little interested and jumped onto the turtle's shell. He then became a little worried. With me, Dubai, and Xiao Chao's weight on top of this turtle, will it still be able to fly? At this moment, an unhurried voice sounded. "I can even carry a mountain on my back, let alone you little brats. Hey, you can talk." And Lin's eyes lit up. The old turtle rolled its eyes and expressed its disdain in an extremely vivid manner. And Lin didn't say anything else and swam around the Dragon Court with Inu. The Dragon Court was huge, and there were many interesting sights. Inu acted as a tour guide, talking nonstop about the special features of the landscape, such as the Pearl Mountain, the Azure Dragon Forest, the Jade Lake, the Immortal Brew Spring, the 10 Miles Coral Sea, and so on. They were all marvelous sceneries, and in Lin's horizons were greatly broadened. During this period, he even saw the 7th Prince Aoyun, who was a middle-aged man with an elegant demeanor. When Aoyun found out that Lin was Inu's friend, he didn't ask much. He only exchanged a few polite words with Lin before leaving, giving off a natural and friendly feeling. Don't be fooled by their smiling faces. They're actually all drama queens, Inu said coldly, curling her lips. Lin was taken aback. "Is that how you talk about your big brother?" Originally, Inu wouldn't have had this kind of attitude. However, after experiencing the incident with Bei Lian in the ancient battlefield, she had completely understood the relationship between these so-called siblings. As such, she no longer held any expectations. "It's all your fault," Inu said hatefully, and Lin was dazed upon hearing this. He didn't know what this girl was up to this time. "It's also my father's fault. He had so many children. Is he raising pigs or dragons?" Inu continued hatefully. "Lin, 13th princess, please be careful with your words," the old turtle suddenly said. For some reason, Inu thought of Bei Lian, and her eyes reddened. She had already lost all interest in playing. Seeing this, Lin hurriedly said, "Ms. Inu, why don't we find a place to read for a while?" "All right," Inu nodded. Soon, she brought Lin to the pavilion she lived in. Seeing that there was no one around, Lin said in a low voice, "I'll tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone." Inu had only just come out with a book in her hands when she blinked her large, bright eyes at Lin. She was a bit dazed. Why did Lin suddenly have a secret to tell her? After a few seconds, she nodded hesitantly. "The person Ms. Bei Lian saved in Bolan City was me. Her bloodline has already been purified and reactivated with my help. However, she's decided to travel the continent for a few years. I hope you won't tell anyone about the secret of her recovering the power of her bloodline." Inu was dumbstruck. She stared blankly at Lin as she digested his words. Lin was that mysterious human cultivator that she cursed 10 times a day. Big Sister Bei Lian's bloodline could be purified and reactivated. She succeeded with Lin's help. After recovering her bloodline, Big Sister Bei Lian still chose to travel the continent by herself. This was a bit too much information. She needed some time to digest it. Inyu took out her voice transmission talisman to contact Big Sister Bailey-Yin. Big Sister Bailey-Yin didn't pick up, but she left a message. Lin is right. I won't be returning to the Dragon Court for now. Take care of yourself, Big Sister Inyu. It was clear that Bailey-Yin knew that Inyu would send her a voice transmission talisman, so she left a message in advance. Say, how could it be such a coincidence? Inyu's crisp and pleasant voice sounded again. There was a look of astonishment on her face as she stared unblinkingly at Lin. Lin shrugged. Fate is something that can't be said for sure. In any case, I've already delivered the message. Your big sister is fine, so don't worry. Inyu nodded, and a vibrant smile finally appeared on her face. Here, this is the book on quantum theory compiled by the high priest of our tribe. Take a look and ask me if there's anything you don't understand. She handed the book to Lin. Lin didn't refuse. He took the book and sat down on a chair before beginning to study it. The language of this book was still the Tai Chu characters, so he didn't seem to have any difficulty reading it. His foundation in physics was actually quite mediocre, but he was actually able to understand this book. This was because this was a completely different concept from the quantum theory on Earth. The study of quantum states also went from shallow to deep, and the parameters involved even included the laws of time, space, vital energy, cause and effect, etc. However, the content of the book didn't form a complete systematic theory. Most of it was just a general analysis and conjecture of certain phenomena, including some classical experiments. There was a very interesting study in which a certain dragon tribe scientist used a spatial artifact to transport an evil spirit from an ancient battlefield. After placing it in the outside world, they discovered that the quantum state of the evil spirit had become extremely unstable. Very quickly, the evil spirit died on its own, and even its body completely dissipated. The dragon tribe researchers hypothesized that the power that caused the evil spirit to disappear originated from a factor called emotional attachment. They hypothesized that the evil spirit also had emotions. The evil spirit was a type of spiritual resentment that was related to the living beings that had died on the battlefield. They would become attached to the place where they died and were born. Once they left that place, their emotions would become extremely unstable, and this would affect the instability of their quantum state. In the end, they would self-destruct. Lin agreed with this point. For some reason, he couldn't help but think of evil demons, and he felt that the two seemed to have some similarities. He read very quickly, mainly because his cultivation base was higher, and his mind was also more agile. His memory and comprehension abilities had also improved, and he could also use some immortal spells to engrave everything he read into his mind. He finished reading this book in less than half a day. Phew, this trip wasn't a bad one. Lin closed the book with a smile on his face. Inyu sat in another chair and rested her chin on her hands. She giggled. What else do you want to read? I still have the study of bloodline fusion, racial biology, cause and effect analysis, spatial manipulation. Lin felt a headache coming on as he listened to Inyu's long list of subjects. No way. I'm only interested in ghosts and monsters, which is why I'm looking for a book to read. It wasn't easy for me to become an immortal and get rid of the problems of all these subjects. He thought about it for a moment before sighing. But I didn't think that the Dragon Court would be researching so many things. Inyu looked at him with a smile and said, What I've said is just some superficial knowledge. More in-depth theories and research experiments seem to be planning to mass-produce some genetic warriors in the research institute that the High Priest is in charge of. Lin's eyes lit up. He's so powerful, and he's a genetic warrior? Inyu waved a delicate hand. They're all leftovers from the Purple Star civilization. We're just picking them up and copying them. The Dragon Court has been beaten to a pulp, so they're trying to learn from others. Huffed. You're even using a quote from Earth. I like to read. There's a senior from the Dragon Tribe who used to be a student at Shoshian United University. He went to Earth and brought back a bunch of books. I've read all of them. Impressive. And Lin felt like Inyu's personality was quite good. She was sincere and easygoing, so it was quite easy to get along with her. He was quite happy to make friends with her. There were only a few days left until the start of the new semester, so he decided to leave the Dragon Court after dinner. Inu bade farewell to Enlin with a smile. Enlin, I'll come to the Celestial Court to look for you when I have time. All right, let's keep in touch via voice transmission talisman. Just like that, the meeting between the two of them ended peacefully. No one caused any trouble, and there were no unexpected incidents. As for the Dragon King's rage after learning that Bei Lian had left, that had nothing to do with him. Chapter 292. This was a fulfilling holiday, and Enlin once again witnessed the diversity of the world. Look at how beautiful Xiao Longnu is. How beautiful Princess Inu is. How beautiful Chi-Chi is. The world is still a beautiful place. Enlin rode on to Bai and sang happily as he returned to school. The familiar campus, the familiar environment, and the familiar people. In the third-year Jadewater district, an unlucky person walked toward him. Hey, Enlin, long time no see. A man with skin as dark as charcoal and red lips, with only white eyes, walked over and greeted him enthusiastically. Enlin grimaced and sized up the man in front of him. After a long while, he finally said, Lu de Bayo, did you King go sunbathing again? Lu de Bayo was excited and shook hands with him. Enlin, you're the first person I've greeted so many times to recognize me. I recognized you from your voice, Enlin said solemnly. Lu de Bayo, this was Enlin's truth. Lu de Bayo was now so dark that even his facial features were indistinguishable. Recognize me from my face? What a joke. Perhaps it was because he had suffered many blows, but Lu de Bayo quickly regained his composure. He still had a smile on his face as he said, Don't look down on this brother's dark skin. I absorbed the essence of the sun on Sun Island in the East China Sea during the holiday, and I've already achieved initial success in my divine sun technique. Even my rank has broken through to the 8th stage Tao body. Lu de Bayo used 2 years to break through from the 4th stage Tao body to the 8th stage. From a speed perspective, this was already very shocking. Congratulations, congratulations. Enlin was sincerely happy for Lu de Bayo. You were also in the East China Sea during the holiday. What a coincidence. I also went to the East China Sea during the holiday. Lu de Bayo's eyes lit up. What did you play? Did you see the mysterious mermaid? Or was it the high and mighty sea goddess? Did you go to the Short Horse Tooth Empire or the Water Sun Empire? The girls there are really good. Enlin was embarrassed. So these are the fun places in Donghai. He had never been to any of them. I mainly play around in the Pearl Kingdom and on the surrounding islands. Enlin replied with an honest expression. Near the Pearl Empire? That place is very close to the 7 devilish regions. There are the infamous 7 great demonic emperors of the East Sea. It's not very safe to go there. You might run into trouble, Lu de Bayo said solemnly. Enlin nodded and grumbled. That's right, it sure was a lot of trouble. I finally managed to kill 6 sea spirit emperors, only to have a King holy demon pop out of nowhere. How troublesome. I almost died. When Lu de Bayo heard this, he almost couldn't breathe. Oh my God, you killed 6 of the 7 demonic thearchs. That's right. One of them joined me, but it died a heroic death in the final battle against the Saint Devil. A hint of pity appeared on Enlin's face as he shook his head. Lu de Bayo was dumbstruck. Killed 6 demonic thearchs? He even made a demonic thearch join his side? And that great war of saints and demons, whose name sounds awesome. CK. What kind of King holiday was this? You even swept through the 7 devilish regions. Lu de Bayo's lips twitched as he looked at Enlin. He didn't know what to say. The gap between their holidays was too big. While he was sunbathing, Enlin had already gone off to save the world. Classmate Enlin really has the heart of the continent at heart. You don't forget to exterminate evil and do good even when you're on holiday. Lu de Bayo finally spoke after a long while. It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Enlin smiled and waved his hand humbly. Lu de Bayo was about to vomit blood. If it's not worth mentioning, don't King say it out loud. Why'd he look so happy and smug? He definitely did it on purpose. De Bayo, I'm not bragging to you, but this time I didn't just go to the East Sea to fight all kinds of sea monsters. I also had a beautiful encounter Do you know about Xiaolongnu? Do you know about Princess Inu from the Dragon Court? It's okay if you don't know. I'll tell you slowly. Lu Debao's charcoal face darkened even more. It was a bright and sunny day, but why did he feel a little suffocated? He had been listening to Enlin brag for most of the day. After Enlin was satisfied, he bade farewell to Lu Debao and walked toward his own room. Unexpectedly, he had only walked halfway when a handsome man with an extraordinary temperament and elegant white clothes walked towards him. The man still had a warm smile on his face. He was clearly in a good mood. Classmate Enlin, long time no see. A warm voice sounded from the man's mouth. Haha, big brother Chung, congratulations on coming out of seclusion. Enlin also greeted him with a joyful expression. One had to realize that Big Brother Chung had appeared before him now, which meant that Big Brother Chung had already broken through to spirit-nurturing final stage. This was truly worthy of celebration. Xin Yuan Chung chuckled and shook his head. There's nothing worth celebrating about that. I've been slacking off on my cultivation anyway, so I decided to work hard and catch up to them. He then encouraged Enlin, work hard. Perhaps you'll be able to break through to spirit-nurturing intermediate stage very soon. Enlin scratched his head. Well, I actually broke through to spirit-nurturing intermediate stage during the holidays. Xin Yuan Chung was slightly dazed upon hearing this. Classmate Lin is so awesome. I believe that you'll be able to break through to spirit-nurturing final stage soon. I'm actually already at spirit-nurturing final stage now. Enlin smiled sheepishly. Xin Yuan Chung was dumbstruck. Huh. Well, I had some miraculous encounters during the holidays, so I broke through to spirit-nurturing final stage, and Lin explained earnestly. Xin Yuan Cheng's face convulsed upon hearing this, and he drew a sharp intake of breath. Holy F***CK. What kind of miraculous encounter could allow someone to break through to spirit-nurturing final stage in less than a month? He had gone into seclusion for an entire holiday, and only then did he break through from the pinnacle of spirit-nurturing intermediate stage to spirit-nurturing final stage. And Lin only used one holiday to progress from spirit-nurturing initial stage to spirit-nurturing final stage. Both of them had true God letters of recommendation, so why was there such a huge disparity between them? Then, Xin Yuan Chung suddenly thought of something else. He had entered spirit-nurturing initial stage when he first entered spirit-nurturing final stage, and after 2 years of hard work, he had finally progressed to spirit-nurturing final stage. And Lin had entered spirit-nurturing final stage, and after 2 years of hard work, he had finally progressed to spirit-nurturing final stage. Xin Yuan Chung fell silent. For the first time, he felt like his cultivation aptitude was a pile of dog **T. Why did he have to be so complacent? Why did he feel like he was a prodigy? Why did he have to be so happy that he had progressed to spirit-nurturing final stage? Big Brother Chung, what's wrong? Your eyes are red. And Lin was given a fright. Really? Maybe it's because the sandstorm is too strong and it got in my eyes. Xin Yuan Chung rubbed his eyes. And Lin, what a cliché excuse. The people on Earth don't even know how to use it anymore. Then, as if he had figured something out, Xin Yuan Cheng's eyes suddenly lit up, and his grief and self-blame were all swept away. That's right. Why do I have to compare myself to a freak like him? Classmate Enlin is a freak who could slay mighty figures at the return to Void Pinnacle stage, even though he's only at the Dao body stage. Isn't comparing myself to someone like him just asking for trouble? Xin Yuan Chung smiled warmly at Enlin and patted his shoulder. Classmate Enlin, congratulations. Your cultivation base has improved greatly. Enlin was given quite a fright by Xin Yuan Cheng's sudden change in expression. Why is Big Brother Chung so fickle? However, he was still quite happy to brag to Big Brother Chung about his experiences in the EC. However, what puzzled Enlin was that Big Brother Cheng's expression remained indifferent no matter how he talked about slaying an Emperor-level C monster or blowing up a holy demon. It was as if this was how it was supposed to be. Enlin was quite disappointed. What the F***CK? This is my Hall of Fame achievement. Can't you at least give me a look of surprise? Complimenting Enlin with classmate Enlin, how are you so strong? Was fine too. In the end, Lin bade farewell to Xianyuan Chung in disappointment. There was no point in bragging to Big Brother Chung. Chapter 293. After bidding farewell to Xianyuan Chung, Lin walked toward the dorm with a perplexed expression. He was now the most famous person in the school, and students often came to greet him. It was a pretty good feeling, especially when he was riding on to Bai and greeting other students. He always felt like he was a leader inspecting the work of the school. Lin encountered Su Qinyan, who was also taking a leisurely stroll on the way. Hey, classmate Su Qinyan, how was your holiday? Same old. I spent some time with big sister Chang'e, then went back to the Imperial Palace to rest for a while. Oh, that's not bad. Let me tell you, I'm spirit nurturing final stage now. My God, classmate Lin is so awesome. Hee, you're too kind. After bragging for a while, he was in a good mood and saw a girl with short pink hair sitting on a jade bench. Hey, Senior Lu Qianwan, how was your holiday? I was bored to death. No one played games with me. You should have gone to Earth for your holiday. Sigh, don't even mention it. I didn't get a spot. I've even been blacklisted by the school for descending to the mortal world. It's because I led a small team of people to participate in a game competition and delayed something important. The relevant departments in the mortal world reported me to the heavenly court. Serves you right. By the way, you've been at the half-step soul formation stage for so long. Have you broken through yet? Just a little bit more. Why so slow? Let me tell you, I'm spirit nurturing final stage now. Why? Holy F***, aren't you surprised? Should I be surprised? You can't beat me in League of Valor anyway. Lin patted Bai's bum and continued forward until he saw a green figure in front of him. Hey, Xiaolan, how was your holiday? Little Lin, I was going to ask you if you still have the consciousness of a master. Why did you leave Xiaohong with me? Do you know what it feels like when I go to sleep at the Vermilion Bird sect and suddenly hear the song of a giant windmill in my bosom? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Speaking of which, where's Little Red now? Humph, she's in a flower pot in my attic. I don't even need to set the alarm in the morning. I'll just listen to her singing the windmill. Ahem, calm down. How's your assimilation of Shun Yin's inheritance? There's basically no problem. After I absorbed the thunder energy of the Black Thunder Dragon Ball, the dragon and phoenix bloodlines went from suppressing each other to fusing with each other. The other inheritances are also gradually integrating, and I'm almost at the stage of comprehending my personal domain. Wow, your cultivation speed is simply unfathomable. It's all thanks to you. If there's another treasure hunt next time, don't forget to call me. We'll see. Xiaolan, I actually have something to tell you. I'm already at spirit nurturing final stage. Oh, did you eat something weird this time? Or was you hit by some weird method of breakthrough? Xiaolan, am I such a person in your eyes? Yes. And Lin suddenly felt very depressed. Why was flexing so difficult now that his cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds? Shouldn't everyone draw a sharp intake of breath, then marvel at his exceptional aptitude, then worship him to the extreme? But among so many people, only classmate Su Qinyan seemed to have such a reaction. Why was that? And Lin pondered seriously, trying to find the root of the problem. After all, without flexing, cultivation would become dull and boring. At this moment, a well-built man walked toward them. Yo, Luo Zipping, how was your holiday? Haha, big brother, and I was just about to tell you the good news. I broke through to spirit nurturing stage. Congratulations. You're the sixth student in our class to break through to spirit nurturing stage, right? Not only that, I heard Sun Xinglian and Miao Tian have also broken through to spirit nurturing stage. It's all thanks to the Purple Star bloodline inheritance. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to break through so quickly. Tis TSK. This is great news. Our original team is invincible. Actually, your team leader is doing very well too. He's already at spirit nurturing final stage. Haha, big brother and is obviously awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me you're already at soul formation stage. Can't you be surprised for a moment, shocked for a moment? Huh? Why would I be shocked? After bidding farewell to Luo Zipping, and Lin became even more depressed. I'm a man who broke through from spirit nurturing initial stage to spirit nurturing final stage in a month. Can't you guys give me some reaction? Dubai, why is it so difficult for me to flex with my cultivation base? Hee hee, big brotherin, you've already flexed in the mortal world. There's no hope for you anymore, woof. And Lin slapped his forehead and heaved a resigned sigh. So be it. It was a new year. He shouldn't think too much about it. I'm going to cultivate hard and improve every day. And Lin pulled himself together and invited Xiao Hong back to their team together with Dubai, all of whom expressed their apologies. Xiao Hong didn't feel any resentment toward her master and underlings for forgetting her. Instead, she was quite content. After all, photosynthesis was the same no matter where she was. She was photosynthesizing every day beside Su Xiaolan, and she was photosynthesizing every day beside Enlin. Was there a difference? There was no difference. Xiao Hong, do you know, I'm already at spirit nurturing final stage. Wow, Master is so awesome. Do you know how to sing Twinkle, 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 Little Star? Huh, you don't? Then I'll teach you. A sweet singing voice sounded. Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. The sky is full of little stars, hanging in the sky and shining. Like many little eyes, tears streamed down in Lin's face. Were there no normal people around him? Why was flexing so difficult? The adorable and ignorant juniors once again came to school. Soon, they also heard about the legendary figure of the school, Senior Enlin. He was a supremely powerful man who could tear a monarch apart with his bare hands and shatter the heavens with a single finger. He was the school's legend, the pride of the school. No matter how ridiculous things were, they wouldn't be surprised if they happened to him. The juniors were all dumbstruck when they heard about these feats. Wow, Senior Enlin is so awesome. I really want to see him. I heard that he only spent one holiday to break through from spirit nurturing initial stage to spirit nurturing final stage. Isn't that normal? He could thrash a monarch at the return to void pinnacle stage with just his Tao body stage. What's so strange about him breaking through two small stages in one holiday? That makes sense. I'm making a fuss out of nothing. Just like that, the juniors were bombarded with all sorts of glorious feats by Senior Enlin as soon as they entered the school, and all of them developed extremely strong antibodies to him. Thus, Enlin's flexing path became even more distant and distant. His third-year university life also began in a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere. Chapter 294. The cultivation life of the third year began to go on the right track. Time passed slowly and peacefully. Enlin had already consolidated his cultivation base and was progressing toward a higher level. The next step was to attain a domain, but he didn't know what kind of domain he would attain. However, as a sword immortal, it would be best if Enlin could attain a domain of tens of thousands of swords or a domain of sword intent. That would be more fitting for his status. In order to attain a domain, he had watched the sunrise and sunset, sat silently under the starry sky, listened to the waves in the forest, and danced under a waterfall. He had done all sorts of cool things. However, there was still no effect. Xiao Cho, do you think my method of attaining domain is wrong? Why is it that there's no effect even after so many days? Enlin was a little dejected. Xiao Cho scratched the fur on his head. You can't say that it's the wrong method. In order to attain a domain, one has to be in harmony with the environment around them. A place that's more conducive to attaining a domain is more beneficial to attaining one's domain. Attaining a domain isn't an easy task either. On the contrary, it's a huge dividing line. There are many cultivators of the spirit nurturing final stage who can't attain a domain their entire lives. So don't be too impatient, big brother, and Lin shuddered upon hearing this. If his aptitude wasn't up to par and it took him a few decades to attain a domain, he would cry himself to death. Oh no, I can't take this risk. I'll just have to ask the system for help. Within the pill refinement room of the Do Shui Palace, the chubby man saw his idol again. Mr. Lin, what pill are you here for this time? Ishi's eyes lit up as he asked excitedly. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you. And Lin replied sheepishly. Ishi the Enlightened was the eldest disciple of Lord Taishang. He was very knowledgeable and a first-rate pill refinement master, so it should be no problem to ask him for guidance. You're welcome. Tell me, what questions have you encountered? She had met Lin a few times before, and he wanted to build a good relationship with this pill-consuming mighty figure as well. So he was quite enthusiastic about this matter. And Lin thought about it for a moment before revealing the ingredients required to progress to the soul formation stage. Senior Shi, have you heard of the heart of the divine god's elixir, and the divine paragon fruit? Ishi's eyes widened upon hearing this, and he drew a sharp intake of breath. Why are you asking about these three things? I want to collect them. They are useful. Holy *T. Collect them? Why are you using these things? What's wrong? Can't I? And Lin blinked in confusion. He didn't understand why Ishi was reacting so strongly. It's not a matter of whether or not you can do it. Ishi massaged his brows and looked at Lin with a solemn expression. It's just that these three items are too high level. Why do you want to come into contact with them? Take the divine paragon fruit, for example. Aren't spirit and immortal grade spirit pills usually categorized into spirit and immortal grade? And Lin nodded. I'm aware of that. Spirit and immortal grade spirit pills are categorized from 9 grades to 1, with the first grade being the highest. Ishi looked at Lin with a solemn expression. Then do you know that there's another grade above immortal grade? And Lin faltered slightly upon hearing this, and a speculation surfaced in his mind as his lips twitched. It can't be divine grade, can it? That's right, it's divine grade. The divine paragon fruit you want is a divine grade fruit. A curious expression appeared on Ishi's face as he continued. So, what do you want a fruit of this grade for? Holy *CK. And Lin couldn't help but swear. An ultimate creation pill already cost me over 10 million spirit stones, so wouldn't a divine paragon fruit bankrupt me? He suddenly sensed the system's malicious intent. Eat a divine paragon fruit? How could a poor C*T like him afford it? That's not necessarily the case. There's a difference between a divine fruit and an immortal pill. After all, an ultimate creation pill, which is comparable to a first-grade immortal pill, requires many high-grade immortal grade ingredients to refine, so it's naturally more expensive. A divine fruit isn't that expensive, it's just that there's no market for it. Ishi glanced at Lin. The divine paragon fruit is a divine fruit blessed by the heavens and possesses sentience. Not only can it move freely from birth, but it can also speak some simple languages, just like a high-grade intelligent life form. It's so precious that even a true god wouldn't be willing to sell it to others. So how would you be able to obtain it? That's why I'm so surprised that you want to collect these things. This is an impossible mission. Don't even think about it. And Lin was a little dazed upon hearing this. For some reason, he suddenly thought of something strange. After a moment of hesitation, he pulled out the golden ginseng from his storage ring and placed it on the ground. This was a golden ginseng that was half the size of a grown man with a small flower on its head. It opened its bright eyes as soon as it appeared. Papa! It let loose an excited yell as it latched onto Lin's leg. Go away! Aren't your papas Gundam 1 and Gundam 2? And Lin was a little dumbstruck as he shook off the golden ginseng's arms. The golden ginseng stumbled back a few steps and pouted with an aggrieved expression. It looked up at the round Ishi and let loose a cry as it hugged Ishi's leg. Mama, Papa is bullying me. Holy *CK. I'm not your mother. No. Holy *CK. What the *CK is this thing? Ishi was given a fright. What the hell was this golden ginseng that could run and yell? And it was calling him Papa and Mama. Were he and Lin husband and wife? He gave birth to a ginseng. Huh. This divine energy fluctuation, this rich aura of life, this ginseng. After a moment of panic, Ishi's eyes widened as if he had seen something inconceivable. He stood rooted to the spot for a moment before yelling again. Holy *CK. Isn't this the divine reincarnation ginseng? And Lin calmed himself down and was a little perplexed by Ishi's expression. You also recognize the first-grade immortal reincarnation ginseng. What first-grade immortal? Ishi asked excitedly. This is a divine paragon fruit. It's already evolved. And Lin blinked and a smile of surprise appeared on his face. Huh, it really is a divine paragon fruit. I'm quite lucky. When he heard Ishi describe the divine paragon fruit, he felt that this ginseng was a little similar to the divine paragon fruit. They could both move freely and speak a simple language like highly intelligent creatures. Who would have thought that it really was a divine paragon fruit? I'm not just lucky. I'm super lucky. This is a treasure that can only be found by chance. Ishi's body was trembling with excitement as he stared at the golden ginseng hugging his leg with a crystalline liquid dripping from the corner of his mouth. And Lin was so frightened by this that he immediately stowed the ginseng into his storage ring. A blush appeared on Ishi's face. I take back what I just said. I didn't think that you really would have a divine paragon fruit. And Lin was a little smug. He didn't think that he would be 1/3 of the way to the soul formation stage. This was like giving him a pillow when he was sleepy. After that, he couldn't help but become curious about the other two items. Senior Ishi, can you tell me what the heart of the divine god and the divine god's elixir are now? Ishi looked deeply into Lin's eyes before replying in a slow voice. The heart of the divine god is a type of inherited divine-level mental manifestation. It can't be forcibly taken or transported, and it can only be voluntarily fused with. There's a certain probability that it will appear in the graves of beings with extremely powerful consciousnesses. The divine god's elixir is a type of inherited divine-level energy body. Usually, the divine god's elixir will appear wherever the heart of the divine god appears. And Lin heaved a sigh of relief upon hearing this. That sounds pretty good. It's even easier to combine the two. Ishi rolled his eyes. Easy? Are you kidding me? The first grave in which the heart of the divine god and the divine god's elixir appear must have a cultivation base of at least the return to void stage, and they must also possess an extremely powerful consciousness. Furthermore, they must also be influenced by the environment. It can be said that you might not be able to find those materials even if you dug up 10 graves. That's all right. I'll take it slow. And Lin didn't appear to be too dejected. One last question. What do the heart of the divine god and the divine god's elixir look like? Ishi waved a hand. I've never seen them either. I've heard that the heart of the divine god is a ball of white, while the divine god's elixir is a strip of white. And Lin, what an extremely graphic description. He had nothing to say in response. Thankfully, at the very least, and Lin's path to the divine god was set in stone. Tomb Raider King. He was definitely going to be one. Chapter 295. Tomb raiding wasn't something that could be done on a whim, especially when it was the tomb of a return to void stage mighty figure. If he wanted to rob it, he had to know where the tomb was. He had obtained the map of the Winter Dragon Tomb from an ancient artifact. This required opportunity, and even more so, fate. And Lin thought about it for a moment. It would be very difficult to rob a tomb, and it wouldn't be any easier than making a breakthrough on his own. Hence, he had to think about it carefully. For now, it was better for him to focus on his studies and cultivation. Before he knew it, another half a month had passed. Dabai took the Divine Vitality Condensing Immortal Pill that Su Xiaolan had given him and broke through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage, catching up to Lin's cultivation base. After observing his domain for a period of time, Xiao Cho swallowed the ancient divine pill that Lin had given him and reached the half-step soul formation initial stage to become a soul beast of the soul formation initial stage. That day, the entire full moon mountain was covered in dark clouds, gale-force winds, and thunder. The commotion was so great that it even alerted many of the school's higher-ups. However, when they learned that it was Lin's beast pet who had broken through to soul formation stage, they all left in disappointment. What? So it's the beast pet of the #1 prodigy of the school who made a breakthrough. I was so happy for nothing. Classmate Lin's beast pet is already of the soul formation stage. Yet none of the students in our school are of the soul formation stage. How King embarrassing. Lu Qianhuan always slacks off. Otherwise, she would have taken over Wang Xuanzhan's team a long time ago. Sigh, students are so hard to teach. Not only were the school's higher-ups under immense pressure, but even the host, and Lin, was also under immense pressure. And Lin sighed. Xiao Cho, why didn't you wait for me? Are you trying to defy the natural order? Big brother, and it's all right, I'll protect you, Xiao Cho said sincerely. This sentence dealt another heavy blow to Enlin. He had fallen to the point where he had to rely on his own beast pet to protect him. No, he had to work harder. He had to catch up. After another half a month, Xiao Hong, who was photosynthesizing silently broke through to spirit-nurturing final stage. Enlin, master, you should bask in the sun more often. Otherwise, your cultivation base is going to rot, Xiao Hong said sweetly. Do you think I'm like you? No matter how suntanned I am, my cultivation base is still moldy. Enlin said with tears streaming down his face. His cultivation had now reached a bottleneck. He had been seriously cultivating for more than a month, but there were no significant changes. In the past, when he cultivated seriously, even if his realm did not change, he would always feel that he was a little more powerful. But now, no matter how much he tempered his core or tempered his body, there was no change. The key was to comprehend and materialize one's domain. This was the most important step between spirit nurturing final stage and half-step soul formation stage. Enlin felt that his aptitude was not bad. It was not like he had never broken through with his own strength. One day, he would be able to create his own domain. However, the pet beasts around him with heaven-defying aptitudes gave him too much pressure, causing his cultivation to soar. What if all his pet beasts were at a higher realm than him? Would others say that he was living off a woman? Pooh! He was living off a beast. Ah, what would become of him, the mighty, sword immortal Enlin? However, things always took a turn for the better. Enlin's homeroom teacher, the flying sword god, suddenly announced a piece of news. A message from Earth states that the enchantment around celestial immortal Shou Yang's tomb will begin to loosen in 10 days. At that time, cultivators below the return to void stage can enter the enchantment with the jade talismans created by the celestial court to search for the inheritance. This was also an agreement made between celestial immortal Shou Yang and the celestial court prior to his death. 1,000 years later, he would welcome all elites below the soul formation stage from the celestial court to enter the Shou Yang's tomb to fight for his inheritance. And now, this moment has finally arrived. There are only 10 jade talismans. Earth has 2, and Xiaoxin United University has 8. Students who want to go to Earth can register with me. And the top 8 students will be chosen by the entire university. Most importantly, we don't know what lies within celestial immortal Shou Yang's tomb. We don't even know why he chose to set up his tomb on Earth. Everything is unknown, and the celestial court is unable to assess how dangerous it is. However, we cannot rule out the possibility that it may pose a threat to your lives. Hence, it's up to you whether or not you want to fight for this opportunity. Registration begins now. Celestial Immortal's tomb? Only an idiot would refuse this. This was the tomb of a return to void stage mighty figure that Enlin could only dream of. Who would have thought that it would deliver itself to him? He didn't even have to think twice before signing up. Xiaoxin United University received over 600 registrants on that day, and almost all of the top 100 powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board signed up. The next day was the time for the entire university to vote, and Enlin undoubtedly received the highest number of votes in the entire university. The other 7 candidates were Lu Qianhuan, Tang Ximen, Su Qianyun, Xianyuan Cheng, Su Xiaolan, Yao Mingxi, and Hu Guan. Lu Qianhuan, Tang Ximen, Su Qianyun, Xianyuan Cheng, and Su Xiaolan were all top-tier powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board, so their strength and popularity naturally went without saying. Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan were second-year and first-year students respectively. They were basically the most powerful people in their year, so they had the advantage in popularity and also received the highest number of votes. It was worth mentioning that aside from Yao Mingxi, Hu Guan was also a die-hard fan of Enlin's. Enlin could only sigh in exasperation. It was all this damn school legend's fault. After the candidates were confirmed, Enlin once again assumed the role of team leader. Why wasn't Lu Qianhuan the team leader? Because she had a criminal record. Everyone had a day to make all sorts of preparations. The first thing Enlin did was to go to Do Shui Palace and find someone to refine over 20 spirit pills suitable for his father. He also found she to refine a yin-yang true energy immortal pill. The yin-yang true energy immortal pill was a 7th grade immortal pill, and he had used his last immortal pill coupon to refine this immortal pill. After making all the preparations, he asked for his beast pet's opinions. There's a chance to descend into the mortal world. Who wants to go? I can't enter celestial immortal Shou Yang's tomb, so I'm just going there to broaden my horizons. Xiao Hong shook her bright, red head. I've already been there once. I've been photosynthesizing an immortal world for over 100 years, so there's nothing I haven't seen, so I won't be joining in on the fun. Xiao Chou also shook his head. I've only broken through to soul formation stage not long ago, so I want to use the rich vital energy around the full moon mountain to consolidate my cultivation base. I won't be accompanying you for now. And Lin nodded. In terms of cultivation environments, there really weren't many places that could compare to his university, so he could understand Xiao Chou's decision. Dabai's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Are the girls on Earth prettier than the girls in the Kingdom of the Nine States? Woof. Almost everyone in the Kingdom of the Nine States is a cultivator, so in terms of overall quality, it's definitely better than Earth. However, there are also many beautiful female cultivators on Earth. I can introduce them to you. And Lin chuckled as he tried to seduce Dabai. He was still waiting to ride a supreme steed back home to flex, so there was no way he was going to let Dabai off the hook. Seeing that Dabai was a little tempted, and Lin continued, I can also show you hundreds of nude portraits of different beauties. Big brother, and I want to go. Woof. Dabai was completely won over by Lin's words, and he excitedly agreed. And Lin nodded with satisfaction as a look of emotion appeared on his face. After 2 years, he finally had a chance to return home. How's your cultivation going, Dad? Fellow cultivators on Earth, how are you all doing? Tomorrow I and Lin will be back. Chapter 296. A dazzling white light suddenly erupted from a small Taoist temple located in the midst of a mountain range. 2 Taoist priests stood respectfully beside the spell formation. After the white light faded, 8 cultivators began to appear in this world. The cultivator in the lead was riding on a huge white dog, and his aura was vast and majestic. Junior Li Changsheng. Junior Li Yu. Welcome, immortal ambassadors. The 2 Taoist priests immediately bowed respectfully upon seeing the 8 cultivators. And Lin breathed in the familiar air as he rode on Dabai. No need for formalities. Go and do what you need to do. I'll take care of everything else. The 2 Taoist priests immediately retreated. They only knew that immortal ambassadors would be coming here, but they didn't have the right to know what they were going to do. So this is Earth. The spiritual energy here is indeed a little sparse, but the difference isn't that big. This was the first time Hu Guan had descended into the mortal world, and he was very curious about the things on Earth. At this moment, only 2 people impatiently pulled out their phones. One was Lin, and the other was Lu Qianhuan. Lin opened the navigation app. We're currently in a remote county in the Gui province. There's a world of difference between the Heavenly Lake and the Heavenly Lake. Lu Qianhuan blinked her bright purple eyes in astonishment. My God, there are 10 new heroes. I feel like I've been abandoned by time. It's been 3 years. I wonder how my old friends are doing now, a scholarly man said with a smile. He was Tang Shimin, a 4th-year student. Thinking back, he had descended into the mortal world for the first time, and he had made some friends in the mortal world. And Lin also came to a realization upon hearing Tang Shimin's words. He opened WeChat, which he hadn't used in a long time, and entered the Cultivators of the World Unite to protect Earth group chat. Most of the names in the group were familiar, but there seemed to be a dozen or so more people in the group, so they were most likely newcomers. Right now, someone was shouting in the group, Green River, Sword Immortal. The members of the Dark Sorcery cult have all hidden themselves in the 5-colored mountain. The protective spell formation is too powerful for us to break. Tian Lingling, I'm so angry. Is there anyone else in the group to help? Those bastards have raised hundreds of human goo. They're simply heartless. We can't let them continue to live. Crackshot Clairvoyant, Even Green River Sword Immortal can't break that protective formation, so there's nothing we can do to help. I'm afraid we'll have to ask the leaders of the four great sects for help. Golden Jade, I'll go ask. When Lin saw this, a faint smile appeared on his face. This was forcing him to show his divinity in front of the masses. Just like that, an account that had been silent for almost 2 years suddenly popped up. Fake Taoist Priest Little and Tian Lingling, send me your coordinates. I'll help you. The group of cultivators that had just been chatting fervently suddenly fell silent. 10 seconds later, Tian Lingling exclaimed, F***CK. Crackshot Clairvoyant. Holy shit. Green River Sword Immortal. F***CK. Atomic Bomb Fairy. F***CK. What's going on? Calm Celestial Maiden. Am I seeing things? Golden Jade. Did he come back to life? The Savior. Did someone hack your account? The entire group of cultivators instantly erupted in an uproar. Countless lurking cultivators popped up, as if they had all been given a fright. Fake Taoist Priest Little and I've only been gone for 2 years. Do you guys have to go so far? Tian Lingling was extremely excited. Oh, Fake Taoist Priest. It's really you? I'll send you my coordinates right away. Soon, a set of coordinates appeared in the group chat. Taoist Wooden Ox. Mr. Lin, do you have the confidence to break through that protective formation? That dispel formation that even Green River Sword Immortal of the Spirit Nurturing Intermediate Stage couldn't break through. Fake Taoist Priest Little and don't worry, it'll be fine, the Savior said. Wooden Ox, have you forgotten about the battle in Tibet? Dreamy Voice Fairy. The Poison Lord is finally going to show his might. At this moment, many cultivators in the group started to praise Lin. After all, that battle was truly an earth-shattering event. It was a battle that countless cultivators revered as a legend. White Spirit Snake. Seniors, who is this senior fake Taoist Priest Lin you guys are talking about? A newbie who had just joined the group was extremely curious upon seeing that the group was suddenly in an uproar. Furthermore, it was all because of a cultivator that he had never seen before. Crackshot Clairvoyant. Little White Snake, you've just joined the group, so you don't know about our hidden god. Let me tell you about him. Soon, as Crackshot Clairvoyant recounted one story after another, the newbie White Spirit Snake was completely stunned by fake Taoist priest feats. After receiving Tian Lingling's coordinates, Lin called out to his team to practice. Lin, let's go, I'll take you guys to meet the evil cultivators on Earth. Tang Shiman, I've been wanting to exercise for a long time. I hope they won't disappoint me. Lu Qinhuan, hurry up and do what you need to. I still have to go to the internet cafe. Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan, I'll go wherever Big Brother points to. Su Qinyun blushed slightly. Classmate Lin, I won't talk to anyone else later. Su Xiaolan and Xin Yuancheng were old teammates, so they naturally wouldn't object. Thus, the 7 of them hurried to the 5-colored mountain under Lin's lead. The 5-color mountain was a famed mountain in the Dian province, and it was over 200 kilometers away from their current location. 200 kilometers seemed like a long distance, but for cultivators of the spirit nurturing stage, it would take them less than an hour to get there. Riding atop Dubai, Lin opened his phone again and looked at the cultivator group chat. There was a WeChat friend request from White Spirit Snake with a message, Senior Poison Lord, you're so handsome. I worship you so much. Lin silently ignored this message. This was clearly a hardcore fan, so there was no way he would accept this friend request. Otherwise, he would be harassed every day. Fake Taoist Priest Little and Tian Lingling, I'll be there in half an hour. Tian Lingling instantly replied, all right, we're currently guarding the perimeter of the spell formation. However, the Dark Sorcery cult seems to have sent reinforcements as well. Hurry up, otherwise we'll be in trouble when their reinforcements arrive. Fake Taoist Priest Little and no problem. Once my army arrives, we'll crush them all. Tian Lingling sent a disdainful emoji and didn't say anything else. On the 5-colored mountain in the Gue province, a 5-colored mist barrier enshrouded the entire mountain. A man in a flowing green robe stood with a sword strapped to his back, and he looked at the spell formation with a grave expression. A young girl with short chestnut-colored hair put down her phone and picked up her walkie-talkie. Attention all cultivators, reinforcements from the dark sorcery cult could be on their way. Report to me immediately if anything happens. Big Sister Lingling, are you sure this reinforcements will be fine? We're betting our lives on this. A feminine voice sounded from the other side of the walkie-talkie. Tion Lingling pursed her lips slightly. He's probably quite capable. He'll erupt with power from time to time. If he's in his normal state, he'll probably be a little more powerful than me. Wow, that's a relief. The woman on the other side of the walkie-talkie heaved a sigh of relief. With Tion Lingling's proud personality, if she said he was a little more powerful, then he was definitely a lot more powerful. Meanwhile, within the five-color mountain, a dozen or so cultivators in colorful robes were staring nervously at the man at the very center. This was the sect leader of the dark sorcery cult, Jiang Peng. Sect leader, how much longer until the fire poison cult arrives? An elder couldn't help but ask. A sinister smile appeared on Jiang Peng's face. Don't worry, the fire poison cult is just nearby. They'll be here in 10 minutes at most. At that time, we'll kill our way out in one go and attack from both sides. We'll kill all those cultivators who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. All of the cultivators were reinvigorated upon hearing this. They had been chased by the human cultivators outside the mountain for a long time. The main reason for this was that Green River Sword Immortal was too powerful for Jiang Peng to handle on his own. However, if the fire poison cult arrived, then the situation would be different. One had to realize that the sect leader of the fire poison cult was also a powerful cultivator of the spirit nurturing stage. If the two of them combined forces, they might really be able to annihilate these cultivators. Soon, Jiang Peng's eyes lit up. In the distance, a man with flames and poisonous mist swirling around his body was approaching them with a menacing aura. Behind him were a dozen or so cultivators in red robes with powerful auras. Ha ha! The fire poison cult is here. Let's slaughter our way out and kill all of those cultivators. Jiang Peng raised his arm and yelled. The morale of the surrounding cultivators soared as they cheered along with him. Tion Lingling and Green River Sword Immortal also sensed the threat behind them, and their expressions shifted. Crap! The dark sorcery cult reinforcements have arrived first. They want to surround us and kill us. Tion Lingling pulled out a few talismans with an indignant expression on her face. She was already prepared to fight to the death. However, right at this moment, the clouds in the sky suddenly stirred. A huge white dog descended from the sky, and the dozen or so cultivators on the ground were all flattened into the ground by its powerful gusts of wind. Who's there? The only one standing was a man enshrouded in flames and poisonous mist. He looked up into the sky and yelled in shock. However, what greeted him was a black arc of light. In the next instant, Lin had already appeared behind him, and he brandished his sword before sheathing it in a graceful manner. Blood splattered through the air as the sect leader of the fire poison cult collapsed to the ground with his eyes wide open. He's clearly not a good person. Let's kill him first. And Lin shook his head before turning to a young woman with short chestnut-colored hair and waving a hand in greeting. Hi, Loli Tion. I made it in time, right? Tion Lingling's eyes widened with incredulity. The fire poison cult, one of the major sects of the Southwest, had been annihilated in a single clash. The sect leader of the spirit nurturing stage had been slain by Lin with a single sword strike. The young woman couldn't help but swear. Holy F***CK. Fake Taoist priest. How did you become so powerful? Chapter 297. Hee, I've always been very strong, okay? And Lin flipped his hair and made his way toward Tion Lingling. He looked at her delicate features and her petite figure and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Sigh, why haven't you grown taller after 2 years? Wah, fake Taoist priest, don't you know how to speak? Tion Lingling immediately exploded upon hearing this. She didn't even care how Lin had become so strong as she threw a series of small fists at Lin. An expression of disappointment appeared onto Bai's face. Big brotherin, Is this the beautiful woman you met on Earth? Are you blind, or am I blind? Woof. Tian Lingling was a little dazed as she looked at the huge white dog beside her. Dabai spoke in the language of beasts, so there was no need for translation. Wah, even your beast pet is slandering me. What are you trying to do? She had never been scolded by a dog before, and she punched Enlin even harder now. Enlin, Green River Sword Immortal, laughed heartily upon seeing Enlin and made his way over to him. Mr. Enlin, thank you for your assistance. You're welcome. We're old friends. Enlin waved a hand. At this moment, the 7 cultivators behind him also descended from the sky. These students didn't conceal their auras, and all of them emanated a vast and profound aura, giving off a sense of invincibility. Ha! These are the reinforcements I've called for. Where are your enemies? They just so happen to want to practice. And Lin laughed heartily as he spoke to Green River Sword Immortal. Green River Sword Immortal's eyelids twitched, and he wanted to throw up blood. 8 Spirit Nurturing Stage Reinforcements? Holy F***CK. Just one in Lin was enough to crush the fire poison sect, and now there were 8? This was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. Tian Lingling was also given a fright. She didn't think that Enlin would bring a bunch of spirit-nurturing stage cultivators here to practice. How were they supposed to practice with only the Dark Sorcery sect left? Spit on each of them? The Dark Sorcery sect cultivators on the 5-colored mountain had also pissed their pants. Holy F***CK. Where did these cultivators come from? Zhang Peng's legs went soft as he stared blankly at the 8 cultivators in the distance. The reinforcements from the fire poison cult had finally arrived, and they were prepared to charge out together and start a massacre. But in the blink of an eye, the fire poison cult was annihilated by a single person. Then, 7 spirit nurturing stage cultivators arrived as reinforcements. How to fight? What was there left for him to fight? Soon, the spirit nurturing stage cultivators outside surrounded them. Quick, defend with all your might. Activate the formation to the maximum. Jiang Peng shouted for the cultivators to activate the array formation. At the same time, he made a call to the group chat. This was a group called Poison, Poison, Poison. Black Sorcerer King. Fellow cultivators, I've been besieged by 9 spirit nurturing stage cultivators on the 5-color mountain. How can I break free? I'm waiting online. It's urgent. Soon, the group was in an uproar. The Centipede Sage. Holy F***CK, Black Sorcerer King. Did you not check the almanac before you left? 9 spirit nurturing stage cultivators are coming to kill you? Taoist Copper Corpse. What kind of heartless thing did you do? Tears streamed down the Black Sorcerer King's face. Let's not talk about that. Tell me how to break free. I'm going to die. Enlightened Silver Corpse. Didn't the Fire Poison King go to save you? Black Sorcerer King. The Fire Poison King had just arrived with his followers when he was insta-killed by one of the cultivators outside. The Centipede Sage, Enlightened Bronze Corpse, Enlightened Silver Corpse, Taoist Crimson Snake. Jiang Peng was about to throw up blood at the sight of a bunch of ellipses, and he hurriedly typed a message. Black Sorcerer King. Fellow cultivators, please give me some advice. I'm really going to die. Clang. The chat window on his phone suddenly disappeared. System notification. Taoist Crimson Snake has removed you from the Poison chat group. Jiang Peng, boom. All of a sudden, the mountain protection formation collapsed. What's going on? There wasn't even a single violent collision. How did the formation collapse? Jiang Peng exclaimed in shock. I don't know. Sect leader, it seems like one of the formation cores has been destroyed. The other cultivators were already pale with fright, and they stared blankly at the cultivators flying toward them. Jiang Peng didn't say anything else and immediately fled into the distance with all his might. The anguished cries of the Dark Sorcerer cult cultivators sounded from behind him. 3 breaths later, a steady voice suddenly sounded from behind him. You're a powerful, evil cultivator from the mortal world? Do you want to fight me? Jiang Peng was given a huge fright upon hearing this voice. He hastily turned his head and saw that 4 cultivators had already flown to his left, right, up and down. Why don't you pick one? The other black-robed man, with a cold expression, spoke as he looked at him. Jiang Peng was about to cry. F asterisk CK. Pick one? Do I even have a choice? 10,000 bug devour. Jiang Peng's body shuddered, and a thick black mist swept forth in all directions like a tidal wave. This was his trump card. The thick black mist was formed from countless bloodthirsty voodoo insects. These were terrifying insects that could even devour vital energy, and normal cultivators would die upon contact with them. Holy F asterisk CK, they're still farting? The four cultivators immediately distanced themselves from him after a loud yell. Jiang Peng didn't even have a chance to heave a sigh of relief before a peerless sword projection of 100 feet in length struck his body. Immediately afterward, flames, lightning cannons, flying swords, boom! Colorful balls of light erupted in the sky, causing heaven and earth to tremble violently. After the fireworks, the sky became clear again. As for the Black Sorcerer King, he had already been reduced to a puff of smoke. Tang Shimin heaved a faint sigh. So it's over after just one attack? Hu Wan was also a little dissatisfied. The main thing is that we've all gathered together. If we fight one at a time, we should be able to exchange a few blows. Xin Yuan Cheng and Yao Mingxi also felt bored, and they silently returned to the five-color mountain. Lin rode on Dubai with his chest puffed out and his head held high in the center of a group of cultivators. Not bad, fake Taoist priest. I didn't think you'd have a spirit-nurturing, final-stage beast pet. Tian Lingling was extremely excited as she stroked Dubai's soft white fur. It felt so good, even better than the best toys. She couldn't stop stroking it. Little girl, please don't do such a perverted thing to me, woof. Dubai glared at Tian Lingling and stuck out his tongue in displeasure. Tian Lingling rolled her eyes and ignored Dubai's words as she continued stroking Dubai's fur. It's so soft and warm. Lin, we've finished our business here. How about you accompany me to the internet cafe? Lu Qianhuan made her way to Lin's side with a dainty smile on her face. Boy, don't forget what we're here for. The Shouyang tomb is going to open in 7 days, so don't get in the way. And Lin spoke with a solemn expression. All right, then I won't drag you down with me. I'll go have some fun on my own for 4 or 5 days. See you at the Changbai Mountain Heavenly Lake. Lu Qianhuan waved a hand before stepping onto her staff and rising into the air. Bye. And Lin, fake Taoist priest, you don't seem to be very authoritative as a team leader, Tian Lingling teased. Classmate and Lin, I'm going to visit a few friends in the mortal world anyway. See you at Changbai Mountain in 5 days. Tang Shimin also came to bid farewell. I'm going to look for Huang Shanshan to trade for a few more weapons. We'll keep in touch by phone. Xin Yuancheng also came to pat Lin on the shoulder before departing. Haha. Then I'll take classmate Su Qianyan to see the beauty and culture of the mortal world as well. Su Xiaolan latched onto Su Qianyan's hand and bade farewell to Lin. Lin massaged his brows with a resigned expression. All right, everyone could do whatever you want now. We'll all gather at the Changbai Mountain Heavenly Lake in 5 days. No, big brotherin, I'll follow you wherever you go. Yao Mingxi spoke with a scorching light in his eyes. I'll never abandon you. Hu Wan also spoke in a sincere manner. Lin almost blacked out. F asterisk CK. All the girls had left, but these two guys were sticking to him? Go, get out of here. I don't want you to follow me. Lin roared. PFFF. Ha! Tian Lingling couldn't help but clutch her stomach as she burst into laughter. Fake Taoist priest, it's been 2 years since we last saw each other. Who would have thought that you'd be so popular with men? Lin's expression darkened, and he finally managed to chase these two retarded fans away after much persuasion. Green River Sword Immortal and the other cultivators from the Dark Sorcery cult also departed, leaving only Lin and Tian Lingling behind. Why are you still here? Lin blinked as he looked toward Tian Lingling with curiosity in his eyes. A faint blush appeared on Tian Lingling's delicate features. It's been 2 years since we last saw each other. I just wanted to chat with you more. And Lin's lips twitched. If it weren't for the fact that your hand is constantly stroking Dubai, I would almost believe you. Dubai Tian Lingling. Chapter 298. All the cultivators of the world unite to protect Earth Group. Green River Sword Immortal. It's done. The scourge of the voodoo cult has been wiped out. Golden Jade, fellow Taoist and Lin, made a move. Green River Sword Immortal. That's right. He also brought along 7 spirit nurturing stage cultivators as reinforcements. Crack Shot Clairvoyant. What the F asterisk CK? That's crazy. Green River Sword Immortal. That's right. The Dark Sorcery Cult and its reinforcements, the Fire Poison Cult, were all insta-killed. I just watched from the side. I don't know why, but I felt uncomfortable all over. Calm Fairy, because the head isn't yours. Atomic Bomb Fairy, Big Sister is right. Taoist Wooden Ox, +1, Green River Sword Immortal. At this time, Tian Lingling posted a selfie in the group. In the image, she was holding a huge white dog in her arms, and she looked very happy. Tian Lingling. I really like this to buy. Calm Fairy. Wow, it's so cute and mighty. Whose dog is this? Tian Lingling. This is fake Taoist priest's beast pet. It's a spirit beast of the spirit nurturing final stage. Taoist Wooden Ox. The savior. F asterisk CK. His pet beast is actually this terrifying Tian Lingling. What's so strange about that? Fake Taoist priest has also reached spirit nurturing final stage. Enlightened Lazarite. I remember that he was only at the 9th stage Tao body 2 years ago, right? You're already spirit nurturing final stage? Tian Lingling. Why didn't you say that he was a 0th stage Tao body 3 years ago? Enlightened Lazarite. Dreamy Voice Fairy. Golden Jade. Crack Shot Clairvoyant. Calm Fairy. I want some peace and quiet. Atomic Bomb Fairy. My immortal cultivation is fake, isn't it? It's not the same, right? My chest feels stuffy. Taoist Red WRM. I'm really a salted fish. The group fell into a strange atmosphere of self-doubt. Ha ha. At this moment, up in the sky, Tian Lingling was laughing so hard she was doubled over as she stared at her phone. She was so elated that she even slapped Dubai's behind. How can a little girl in the mortal world be more of a hooligan than me? Woof. Dubai protested loudly, and Lin's mouth twitched. He didn't know if it was the right choice to let the girl behind him ride Dubai. Fake Taoist priest. The group has been dealt a blow by your freak again. Holy shit, you're pulling aggro on me again? How can this be called attracting hatred? This is a disguised form of promoting the positive atmosphere of cultivation in the group. It's a good thing for the present to benefit the future. Is that so? Then who was the one who almost burst into tears after hearing that I had reached the spirit-nurturing final stage? So this little girl is not only a hooligan, but she's also two-faced. Dubai commented. Then its but was touched again, and Lin took out his phone and dialed a number. A familiar voice came from the other side of the phone. The voice was trembling with excitement. Hey, little Lin, is that you? You're back. And Lin smiled. He was also quite touched by this voice. Dad, it's me. I'm back. How have you been? I've been very energetic recently. Ever since I started cultivating, my body has been improving day by day. That's good. Do you still need WeChat? Send me your coordinates. I'll send you some warmth. Haha. Thank you, little Lin. I've been cultivating this entire time and haven't used WeChat much. I didn't even know you were online. I'll hang up now and send it to you. And Ming Chuan immediately hung up the phone. Then, his coordinates appeared in the chat window. It was quite clear that he really wanted to see his son. Otherwise, he wouldn't have contacted him so soon. And Lin looked at the coordinates, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He also felt very warm in his heart, especially after hearing his father's energetic voice on the phone. His heart that was hanging in the air was completely at ease. Uncle Lin is now the rising star of the National Cultivation Department. He's only cultivated for 2 years, yet he's already reached the 5th stage Tao body. That speed has broken the record for the fastest breakthrough in the entire department, Tian Lingling said to Lin with a hint of envy. Of course. Look at who his son is. Like father, like son. And Lin replied with a smug expression. Tian Lingling rolled her eyes. Why are you so shameless? If I praise you, you'll go to heaven. If I praise your father, you'll go to heaven too? Big brother, and shamelessness is indestructible. I agree with that. Woof. Dubai chimed in. And Lin ignored the praises from the large dog and the little girl and began humming a tune to himself. And Mingchuan's rate of cultivation was not only because he had a large amount of cultivation resources to support him, but also because of his aptitude. He had reached the 5th stage Dao body in 2 years, so it was clear that his aptitude was quite good. The North Mist Mountain of the capital city was enshrouded in white mist all year round, and there was an area that was isolated from the outside world by a metal fence. There was also a massive spell formation that isolated the inside of the mountain from the outside world. Even if a plane were to fly overhead, all they would see would be a vast expanse of green mountains and clear waters. At this moment, and Mingchuan was looking into the distance at the summit of the North Mist Mountain, awaiting the arrival of a certain someone. A middle-aged man in a plain Taoist robe made his way over to him with a hearty laugh. Mingchuan, I just received news that your precious son is coming. And Mingchuan immediately extended a respectful salute. Teacher, little Lin said he's already arrived at the Ji province. This middle-aged man was in Mingchuan's cultivation teacher, Cui Zhe. He was the highest-ranking teacher in the National Cultivation Department, having a cultivation base of the spirit-nurturing final stage. With Cui Zhe's strength, he could be considered a top-notch expert even in the talented Special Operations Department. However, even with this status, Cui Zhe didn't put on any airs toward Mingchuan. Instead, he imparted everything he knew to Mingchuan from the bottom of his heart. On one hand, Mingchuan was indeed a rare young cultivator, and on the other hand, Mingchuan had a good son. Others might not know how powerful Lin was, but as a high-ranking official in the National Cultivation Department, he was well aware of just how terrifying Lin was. This was a level of power that transcended common sense. Cultivation was all about opportunities, and Cui Zhe felt like Mingchuan was his opportunity. Haha, your precious son is here. Cui Zhe narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. The vast aura exuding from that direction made even him feel a little shocked. He opened the protective spell formation to welcome his guests. He was then greeted by the sight of 2 people riding a huge white dog toward the summit of the North Mist Mountain. Cui Zhe's eyelids twitched as waves of shock surged through his heart. Just the beast pet's cultivation base alone was on par with his own. Who would have thought that Lin would grow to such an extent in just 2 short years? Dad. Lin leaped off Dubai and gave Mingchuan a bear hug. Ha ha, you look quite energetic. And Mingchuan was elated as he patted Lin's back. Of course, I'm super bad *SS now. Lin chuckled triumphantly. His father's white hair had already turned black, and the wrinkles on his face had also lessened slightly, upon which a sense of joy welled up in his heart. Hello, Uncle. Tian Lingling leaped off Dubai and greeted Mingchuan in an obedient manner. Oh, Lingling is here too? And Mingchuan's eyes lit up as he greeted her. Due to her relationship with Lin, Tian Lingling had visited Mingchuan a few times on the North Mist Mountain, so they were quite familiar with each other. By the way, let me introduce you. This is my teacher, Cui Zhe, and Mingchuan introduced. Lin immediately became respectful upon learning that the middle-aged man beside him was his father's teacher. He immediately spoke, Uncle Cui, so you're my father's teacher. I'll give you a present for Nuan as well. Cui Zhe was shocked to hear this, and he immediately refused. How could I accept this? Teaching your father is my job. I can't accept this. That's enough. That's a different matter. You've contributed the most to my father becoming the fastest person in the department. This is my personal gratitude, so don't refuse. Lin waved his hand with a firm expression. Cui Zhe could only nod in agreement, but at the same time, his heart was filled with joy. See, Mingchuan was indeed an opportunity for him. Someone was sending him warmth just like that. Chapter 299. Dad, come over here. I brought you a lot of good stuff from the Celestial Court. Lin led Mingchuan to a small pavilion and began to fiddle with his storage ring with excitement on his face as he inspected the items within. What are you talking about? I don't lack anything here, so there's no need for you to bring anything here. And Mingchuan spoke with a nonchalant expression. You really don't lack anything? You don't even want spirit tools? And Lin chuckled. As soon as these words came out, the entire pavilion quietened down. Tian Lingling, Chuizhe, and Ming Chuan all drew a sharp intake of breath as their eyes widened in shock. What did spirit tools mean to cultivators on Earth? That was the most precious treasure of a large sect. The number of spirit tools that had appeared in the entire Hua Nation could be counted on two hands. No, these things are too valuable. You can keep them for yourself, I don't want them. And Ming Chuan immediately refused after coming to his senses. And Lin smiled. He knew what his father was worried about. Don't worry, I have a lot of spirit tools here. You can pick whatever you want. Soon after, his storage ring flashed, and 6 spirit tools appeared on the table, each exuding an intimidating aura. There were 3 elementary rank spirit tools and 3 intermediate rank spirit tools. These were the treasures he had obtained when he was being robbed outside the Winter Dragon Tomb, and he had never sold them. Holy F***CK. Tian Lingling couldn't help but swear at the sight of the 6 spirit tools in front of her. Chuizhe swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared blankly. How do you have so many? And Ming Chuan's eyes widened. Just the spirit tools that Lin had taken out accounted for half of all the spirit tools in the entire Hua Nation. Lin didn't think much of it. Spirit tools were extremely valuable even in the Kingdom of the 9 States, so it was no wonder that they were so shocked. Hurry up and choose, Dad. These weapons are going to rot in my storage ring, and I don't lack money, and Lin said with a heroic expression. Dabai pursed his lips when he saw this. He knew that big brother and was already in his show-off mode. Tian Lingling had initially wanted to insult Lin, but now she had forgotten to speak. She could only stare blankly at the 6 spirit tools on the table, drooling from her mouth. And Ming Chuan didn't refuse. He preferred to use swords, so he chose an intermediate rank spirit weapon, the Blue Frost Sword. And Lin gave him a thumbs up. As expected of my dad, our family is destined to produce sword immortals. Tian Lingling, are you praising yourself as a sword immortal again? Dabai, big brother, and is always like this. After his father finished his selection, he looked at Tian Lingling and pointed to the spirit tools on the table. You pick one of these spirit tools too. Tian Lingling was dazed upon hearing this. She stared at Lin with her large woof-woof eyes. Fake Taoist priest. Huh. You mean you're going to give me a spirit tool? And Lin nodded. After all, she was a good friend he had made in the mortal world, and he had always been very generous to his friends. Wow, Sword Immortal and Lin, I love you to death. Tian Lingling pounced toward Lin excitedly and planted a kiss on the side of Lin's face as she squealed with joy. The term Sword Immortal and Lin was clearly very effective on Lin, and a smug smile appeared on his face. Then he pointed at the spiritual weapons on the table and continued, quickly pick one that you like. Tian Lingling nodded and chose a pair of white darts from the 5 spirit tools. These were elementary rank spirit tools, flying lightning darts. After making his selection, Lin turned to Chuizhe. Uncle Chui, I told you I was going to give you a big present as well. You should pick a spirit tool too. Chuizhe was rooted to the spot as soon as Lin finished his sentence. Give him a spirit tool? Are you kidding me? This was a priceless spirit tool. He had thought that Lin would give him some good stuff, such as a precious magic tool or a priceless spirit pill, but never would he have thought that Lin would give him a spirit tool. Uncle Chui, you're my father's teacher. Please accept this gift. And Lin spoke with a solemn expression after seeing that Chuizhe was still in a daze. And Ming Chuan also laughed heartily. Little Lin has grown up. This is a gift from him. Teacher, you should go and pick one up. This. Chuizhe looked at Lin and in Ming Chuan before finally taking a deep breath. All right, then I'll accept this gift. He chose an elementary rank spirit tool, the Silver Blood Spear. He held the spear in his hand, and his hands began to tremble as he sensed the energy fluctuations and spirituality emanating from a spear. This was a spirit tool? This was a gift of warmth? Chuizhe was a little dazed. This warmth was simply too warm, so warm that he felt as if his blood was boiling. He had really grasped the right opportunity. Teaching in Ming Chuan, everything he knew was the best decision he had ever made. And Lin stowed the remaining 3 spirit tools into his storage ring before giving his father a dozen or so spirit pills of different effects, as well as 200,000 spirit stones. These would be enough for his father to use until he reached the spirit-nurturing stage. Tian Lingling and Shui Zhe looked at the dazzling array of treasures in front of them, and they were already numb to it. It was like watching a super-rich person squander 100 million yuan after another. Even though that was a lot of money to them, after they became numb to it, it was just a number, and it wouldn't cause them much of a stir. And Ming Chuan was the one who was most shocked, because he was the one who was receiving the money. It was exactly because he had come into contact with the cultivation world that he was extremely shocked. Setting aside the spirit pills and spirit tools, just the 200,000 spirit stones alone was more than he had ever seen in the cultivation department. All right, that's all for the gift of warmth. Enlin clapped his hands together with a joyful smile on his face. Why did he cultivate? Why did he fight? He couldn't explain it. At this moment, his mood was very simple. He was just like a man who worked hard outside. When the company finally paid his salary, he would send money home to subsidize his family's expenses. He wanted to let his parents know that he was independent and that they could rely on him. This was probably what he was feeling right now. This was a really good feeling, and Enlin really liked it. After delivering the warmth, Enlin brought out the famous tea he had purchased in the Kingdom of the Nine States and tasted it with his father, Tian Lingling, and Shui Zhe. The four of them sat around the stone table, chatting about cultivation and the things they had experienced in the past 2 years. So, you're already at the 10th stage Dao body? Not bad. You're improving quite quickly. Enlin looked at Tian Lingling with surprise on his face. Tian Lingling humphed lightly and didn't reply. Even in the United University of Cultivation, the speed at which her cultivation base was progressing was extremely impressive. However, in front of Enlin, she was completely crushed into nothingness. She had initially planned to bully Enlin a little when he came back, or at least catch up to him. Who would have thought that after 2 years, she would finally reach the spirit-nurturing stage? But Enlin was already close to the F** King Soul Formation stage. She almost suffocated from anger. Ms. Tian Lingling is indeed the most talented cultivator among the new generation of cultivators in the Huan Nation, Shui Zhe chimed in. Of course not. Don't forget about Uncle, and Tian Lingling said with a wide grin. Haha, I forgot about him, Ming Chuan. Shui Zhe rubbed his hands together and chuckled. He entered the sect late, but he's doing very well. Be careful not to be overtaken. And Ming Chuan didn't really care about cultivation. After learning that Enlin had descended into the mortal world with a mission, he immediately asked the question that he was most concerned about. Little Lin, did Su Xiaolan come with you? Enlin faltered slightly before nodding. She did come with me. Why? Why didn't you bring her to see me? And Ming Chuan slapped his thigh with a furious expression. Enlin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why would I bring her to see you? She has her own things to do. What things? Shopping. And Ming Chuan heaved a forlorn sigh and shook his head. With his son's EQ, did he get his last girlfriend from the lottery? Just as Ming Chuan was sighing in resignation, a ringtone suddenly sounded. It was Enlin's phone. Enlin pulled out his phone to find that it was a call from Su Xiaolan. Speaking of Xiaolan, Xiaolan was here. He answered the call. Hello, how's it going? Xiaolan's urgent voice sounded from the other side of the phone. Bad news, Enlin. Something bad has happened. Chapter 300. Enlin was startled by Su Xiaolan's words. What happened? Su Xiaolan's voice sounded from the other side of the phone again. I lost Su Qianyan. What? Enlin's eyes widened. How could you lose such a big person? Su Xiaolan was also very anxious. We were shopping on the commercial street at the time, and I saw a place that sold delicious food, so I wanted to buy a couple of portions to satisfy my cravings. Who would have thought that Su Qianyan would disappear right after I bought it? Enlin was slightly taken aback by her words. What the hell was with this melodramatic plot? There was no reason for such a big person to disappear. It wasn't like she was a child. Su Xiaolan continued. She doesn't have a phone. So what should we do? Send me the coordinates. I'm coming right now. Enlin knew he couldn't wait any longer, and he immediately stood up. Su Xiaolan's location was displayed on the phone. Coincidentally, it was a commercial street in the capital city, not far from where he was. It looked like they were also quite interested in the capital city of the Huan nation, which was why they set up their first stop here. And Lin didn't waste any more time, and he immediately called over Dubai and Tian Lingling, and they flew toward the location. Su Qinyun was walking aimlessly on the street with a look of anxiety in her eyes. She was dressed in a light blue dress, and her features were exquisitely beautiful. Many people turned to look at her as she walked, but she didn't feel the slightest bit smug. Instead, she was very anxious because she couldn't find Su Xiaolan. She was lost. Looking at the bustling crowd, Su Qinyun was a little dumbfounded. It's over, there's so many people around. How am I supposed to find Su Xiaolan? If I had known this would happen, I would have exchanged voice transmission talismans. In the past, they would see each other all the time, so they didn't pay much attention to these things. Sigh. If only I didn't help that flower seller up. No, wait. How could I not help the flower seller up when she was knocked down? He should have memorized his position before he left. Su Qinyun's eyes were filled with disappointment and regret. Her sense of direction was very poor. No, it should be said that she had no sense of direction at all. She would basically forget the path she had taken when she turned back. She had been following closely behind Su Xiaolan because she was afraid that she would get lost. However, the thing she was most afraid of still happened. She really got lost. After that, she followed her intuition and walked in a certain direction. She felt that Su Xiaolan was there. Then, yep, he didn't find it. He successfully got lost. What should I do? Su Qinyun muttered to herself. He didn't have a mobile phone to contact her, and he didn't have any money with him. He didn't even have the language barrier. She was lost in the sea of people and felt helpless for the first time. Oh, by the way, the book says that if you are in trouble, you can look for the police. Su Qinyun's eyes flashed, and she found a breakthrough. She looked around and finally locked her gaze on a familiar-looking woman in the milk tea shop. Hi, hello, Su Qinyun said in Mandarin, stuttering. The woman saw that the person who came was so beautiful that even an old lady like her could feel her heart palpitate. Her attitude couldn't help but improve a little. She smiled and said, Miss, what would you like to drink? Su Qinyun was slightly stunned. The woman spoke too quickly, and she couldn't understand what she said at all. Yep, maybe she wouldn't understand if she spoke slowly. Police, where? She thought for a long time and finally came up with this phrase. Huh? The woman was a little confused. This girl came to her milk tea shop to look for the police? I'm looking for the police. Where? Su Qinyun's fair face was a little red, and it was especially lovable. The woman's mouth twitched slightly, but she still patiently answered, Miss, you have to go to the police station to look for the police. The nearest police station is a little far from here. It's about 600 meters away in the northeast direction, and there's no way to give directions. You can just use the Chindu map on your phone to search for the nearest police station. Otherwise, you can use Bang Bang Taxi to go there. Su Qinyun blinked her dreamy blue eyes, looking confused. Huh? She couldn't understand a single word. Oh no, she could understand the word police. The woman was also confused. What was wrong with this girl? Did she not understand human language? Very quickly, she came to her senses. From his language and expression, it was possible that he really didn't understand Chinese. Could she be a foreigner? It was all too common to meet foreigners in the capital. The woman smiled faintly, thinking that this girl had found the right person this time. Her English was pretty good. It was time to show off the quality of the Chinese people and bring glory to the country. The woman confidently repeated what she had said in English, then looked at Su Qinyun as if trying to find an expression of shock and joy on her face. Su Qinyun was still confused. Huh? This time, she really couldn't understand a single word. The police, where am I? Su Qinyun asked again with a pleading look. The woman was speechless. The woman was about to cry. This girl didn't even know English? Which country did she come from? Judging from her appearance, she was Chinese. It was useless to go to the police station with this level of language. The police would also be confused. But for some reason, the woman couldn't bear to see such a beautiful girl like Su Qinyun standing alone in front of her, looking at her with a pleading look. Xiaozhong, look after the shop for me. I have something to do. The woman finally made up her mind and took the initiative to lead the way. If you don't know the way, I'll bring you there. Let's go. The woman waved her hand at Su Qinyun. Su Qinyun nodded obediently and followed beside the woman. This time, she was very close to the woman to avoid getting lost. This child. The woman shook her head and smiled bitterly. She also looked at Su Qinyun. Today was the weekend, so there was a lot of traffic in the business district. It was full of people. Su Qinyun looked around curiously at the various passers-by. Many passers-by also looked at her with envious eyes. Right at this moment, she saw a middle-aged man with a strange movement. The man's hand was slowly reaching into the pocket of another man's pants and pulling out a black bag. Su Qinyun blinked as she felt a sense of déjà vu. She felt like the pickpockets in the Kingdom of the Nine States were also like this. Ah, this is such a familiar feeling. It looks like some cultures and skills are interconnected. Su Qinyun sighed with emotion. With a flick of her finger, an invisible force pierced through the air and struck the pickpocket's wrist. Bam! Ow! The pickpocket howled in pain and fell to the ground, clutching his wrist. The black bag also fell to the ground. There were many people on the street to begin with. This scene instantly attracted the attention of a large group of people. The other man also turned around. Young man, what's wrong? Huh? This bag looks a little familiar. Holy F***CK. Isn't the bag next to your hand mine? The man who had his bag stolen was given a huge fright. He picked up his bag and was dumbstruck when he saw the man rolling on the ground. Then he called Yao Yao Ling. As for the pickpocket, he howled in pain as if he had seen a ghost. The middle-aged woman was also attracted by this commotion. TSK, TSK, TSK. A pickpocket twisted his wrist while trying to steal a bag? What a weirdo. This is probably what they mean by God will punish the wicked. Su Qinyun pursed her lips into a smile. Although she didn't understand what these people were saying, the pickpocket must have been an idiot. It felt pretty good to use a power unknown to others to do some good deeds. Wait, use a power unknown to others? Su Qinyun stopped in her tracks. A thought suddenly occurred to her, and she looked up at the sky. At some point in time, the sky above this area was already covered with dark clouds. Miss, stop looking. It's going to rain soon. Let's hurry to the police station. The middle-aged woman pulled Su Qinyun and grumbled. What the hell is with the weather forecast? It said it was going to be sunny, but now it looks like it's going to rain. The passers-by on the street also quickened their footsteps and complained about the weather. Rumble. A muffled thunder suddenly came from the sky. Hey, there's thunder. The middle-aged woman had to hurry up. Unexpectedly, Su Qinyun stood there in a daze, looking at the direction of the thunder. At this time, a few bolts of lightning tore through the clouds. Rumble. The thunder was even louder than before. Like the roar of an ancient beast, it exploded between heaven and earth, scaring some timid girls to the point that they screamed. Holy F***CK. What kind of thunder is this? Isn't it too exaggerated? The middle-aged woman was also shocked, but Su Qinyun's delicate body trembled slightly. She felt a slight fluctuation of heaven and earth essence chi. Is someone sending a signal to the surroundings? Thank you. Su Qinyun looked at the middle-aged woman and said gratefully, Miss, what are you suddenly saying? The middle-aged woman was slightly taken aback. Su Qinyun's soft hand had already landed on the middle-aged woman's back, and a surge of warmth flowed through her entire body. The middle-aged woman felt a wave of comfort wash over her body, and her eyes widened in shock. In the next instant, Su Qinyun had already disappeared on the spot. 10 seconds later, the middle-aged woman came to her senses and pinched her face to find that it hurt a little. She moved her body in disbelief and found that her entire body was filled with energy. Even the pain in her joints that she had been suffering for many years had disappeared. She felt extremely relaxed and comfortable. Could it be that I've encountered a deity? The middle-aged woman murmured in shock.